One of our favorite sponsors is back with us, Sunset Lake CBD.
Yeah.
If you're looking for CBD that actually does what CBD is supposed to do, look no further than our friends over at Sunset Lake.
Let me break it down.
Break it down, Mel.
They're sustainably farmed, meaning they avoid pesticides and use sustainable farming practices to preserve the land for future generations. 1. 2, farm to table. They ship the CBD products straight from their door in Vermont directly to your door wherever you're at.
Oh, that's cool.
And third-party tested. They test everything with a third party to ensure quality, dosage, and safety.
You got to go over and check out sunsetlakecbd.com. They have so many products. Break it down for them, Apple.
Well, they've got some new stuff going on. Like they always had pre-rolls, but now they got really cool packaging for it. And you can get CBD pre-roll flights of all their flavors. You can get the heavy hitter flight that also throws in some of their Keef blunts. They have a new CBD recovery body lotion.
I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other?
The other one with arnica.
The extra strength muscle rub, 3,000 milligram with 5% lidocaine.
So look,
Oh, yeah,
if you're
lidocaine.
sore, this is the stuff you want to rub on your body to make those aches and pains go away. They even have CBD infused coffee, so you can have coffee without the little jitter that you get from caffeine, and you have it in the morning and you start your day off right. Your body feels lubricated. You're going to sleep good.
Yeah, and also they have, if you kind of forget to reorder, they've got subscriptions.
And they're giving the No Simple Road family 20% off.
20% off.
Put
with
in the promo code NSR20 when you're checking out at sunsetlakecbd.com. You're going to get 20% off your entire order.
NSR20.
And don't forget those cute little gummy bears.
That's right. sunsetlakecbd.com. One of our favorite sponsors is back.
Hey, this episode is brought to you by one of our fine sponsors, which is Define Premium Cannabis.
Define.
If you are in the Portland area, we have 2 locations, one in Hillsboro, one in Forest Grove. We will service all your needs. Our bartenders will take care of you.
all
You're
your
going to get
needs?
service.
Yeah, you're going to get service all your needs because we will educate you on the complicated cannabis world. There's so many products and we know what we're talking about. We will get you suited to your right medication to take care of your head and your body.
And if you go into the Hillsboro location Monday through Friday and you ask for Apple, he will come out of the back dressed like a teddy bear.
Aww.
And he'll very fluffily go over to the counter and find the perfect cannabis product for you.
I will tend your butt.
He'll tend your bud.
Tend it.
Yep. So go to Define Premium Cannabis. Make sure you tell them that you're part of the No Simple Road family, and you're going to get 10% off your purchase. And the first time in, you're going to get a free t-shirt. It's a little homage to Ryder right there. So make sure you visit both locations, Hillsboro and Forest Grove. Define Premium Cannabis. Hey, Apple, have you ever seen Where the Wolf Has Slept by the Silver Stream?
I have.
Where did you see that?
Over at
Shop Tour Bus.
That's right. You got that right. ShopTourBus.com online or at ShopTourBus on Instagram. They have the coolest Grateful Dead inspired t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, all the stuff we all love so much with a really cool spin on it. And it comes in a hand-designed, one-of-a-kind box with a Grateful Dead lyric on the inside and a bunch of little cool extras. And some of you lucky folks that order are going to get a real live Grateful Dead bootleg. It's called a miracle these days.
That is a miracle.
Yep. Everybody can use a miracle, and you can use free shipping. And the way that you're going to make that happen is by putting in the promo code
No Simple Road.
when you check out. No Simple Road, free shipping. They're going to hook you up. You could get a miracle. You're going to get a cool t-shirt with designs from your favorite Grateful Dead songs on them. And you're going to have a box that'll make you happy. So shoptourbus.com.
You're going to look dope.
Boom.
Hey, guys.
What?
Have you ever listened to Steely Dan in the kitchen?
Out of a hamburger?
That you got from Electric Fish Lights?
No, I haven't.
But I bet you could.
I absolutely
We all could.
Yeah, you can too. You can go to electricfishlights.com or you can go to @electricfishlights on Instagram and you can see what we're talking about. These are kick-ass lights made from IQ technology, which is like this plastic. It's called upcycled plastic. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a green term. And it is old milk jug plastic, but it's this technology called IQ technology, and it's 30 interlocking pieces that can be configured into 15 different shapes. And when you put them together, they can basically make any character, sports,
shape,
logo,
whatever.
hamburger.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, alligator head, an eagle, a feather.
Yeah.
I've seen Minecraft characters.
Yeah.
And the way to find out
Jellyfish?
is by going over there and checking it out.
Yeah, and all the lights come with a 12-year
years.
energy efficient, safe to leave on bulb, a 12-foot cord, and a hardware kit to hang the light. And it, you can
It
just get a
comes with
regular
everything.
bulb in that thing, or you can get a color changing bulb or a Bluetooth speaker bulb. And check this out. Since you're part of the No Simple Road family, you're going to get 10% off when you put in the promo code NSR. And any NSR family member that gets the color changing upgrade or the Bluetooth bulb gets a one-of-a-kind, hand-designed,
Limited edition.
No Simple Road poster that was done in collaboration with Electric Fish.
And Aaron.
And me.
Yeah.
I guess I am kind of No Simple Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check it out, guys. Go to electricfishlights.com. Tell them that we sent you by putting in the promo code NSR. You're going to get your 10% off. Get that color changing upgrade. Get yourself a poster and make your light come to life.
We're so excited to tell you a bit about today's sponsor, Music Masters Collective. They are a nonprofit organization that produces unique music events, providing opportunities for fans and artists to meet and collaborate in an inspired and creative atmosphere.
Music Masters Collective events give you the opportunity to learn from world-class musicians like Otil Burbridge, Steve Earle, Richard Thompson, former members of the band, the Milk Carton Kids, Nikki Glaspie, the Fab Four, and Sean Colvin, and so many more.
At an event like the Milk Carton Kids Sad Song Summer Camp happening this July, you can expect immersive classes, evenings of entertainment, excellent food, and a space for a lucky group of folks to learn, co-write, workshop, and perform with like-minded peers, all with the guidance of Kenneth Pattengale, Joey Ryan, and some of their favorite songwriters. This all-inclusive week in the Catskill Mountains of upstate New York is guaranteed to be magical. Scholarships are available and spots are extremely limited, so visit www.sadsongsummercamp.com/simple to learn more. That's www.sadsongsummercamp.com/simple. Check it out.
Hey everyone, Chris Pandolfi from the infamous String Dusters here to let you know that my podcast, Inside the Musician's Brain, is back on the airwaves for Season 4, which means it's time once again to get deep with influential musicians from all across the musical landscape to really understand and translate the lessons of success, failure, inspiration, and hard work that are behind the music and the artists that we love. My guests this season include Rachel Price from Lake Street Dives, Sam Bush, Chris Wood, Chris Funk from The Decemberists, Lindsay Liu, MC Taylor from His Golden Messenger, and more. Check us out, and thanks for listening.
No simple road. No simple road. No simple road. No simple road.
Yeah.
You farted around.
We
You guys
kind
were
of
farting
did.
around.
not fart
Everything
around.
was
It was
very
a perfect
progressive
square.
tonight.
Hey now, No Simple Road family. Apple is an elephant.
Hey now, no simple road.
Did you guys know that? Did you know
family.
that elephants poop square?
Apples poop square?
They do.
What?
I swear. I'm not being silly or nothing.
I've been at the
you
zoo
can
and watched
yes.
elephants poop. I did
Elephants
not
poop
see
square.
squares
Produce
come
some
out.
square elephant poop,
Okay.
Aaron, and then I'll believe you.
No Simple Road family, help me out here. Tell these guys. I'll wait.
Aaron, you're full of shit.
All right, yeah, I welcome input on this because I.
Right?
Anyway, yeah, get back to us.
And
Let us know what you think.
whatever.
I say
Why is that
nay.
relevant?
It is
I don't know why that
absolutely
came
not
up.
relevant. It was relevant to the conversation we were having when I hit record.
Was it?
Sort of. I don't know.
It's a random fact
That's how we
bouncing
roll.
around his head.
It just fell out all over the No Simple Road family. Hey, guess what,
Wow.
guys and
Leprechauns poop gold? I don't know.
girls? This is true. No, it's Friday, and No Simple Road put out a second episode this
Double
week.
feature.
Yeah, double
week.
feature.
Yeah, man. This Friday, right now,
This is a cool one.
is
This is
Weeds and Sardines.
What?
Our buddy Brian.
What?
So check this out.
Dude, Brian, that was such a cool thing. Brian was not feeling well when we did this. And he went and put on his chef's coat. And
No, he put on a dress shirt.
I thought he had
No, it was a dress
No,
shirt.
dress shirt, but
Okay.
he got the chef's.
All right, so
yeah.
this is clearly my fantasy. So I'm going to say how I remember. He ran to the back, put on his chef's outfit, came and he came correct. He wasn't feeling good, and he still was like 100% himself and
Yes.
sweet, and
We had a great conversation too.
such a good conversation.
So you're out there wondering, hey,
what's Weeds and Sardines?
and why is or you know what Weeds and Sardines is, and you're like, why is No Simple Road having a YouTube cooking channel on?
Well, let me tell part of that because when Aaron came to us with it, this goes back to like when we got him the KitchenAid mixer back for his birthday in November. He was getting into baking and everything, and really getting into sourdough and all kinds of stuff. And again, like Aaron does on the patio, I learned about this on the patio, having coffee with him. He's like super excited about watching this chef on YouTube, who you guys are going to hear from. And he immediately, because there's so many of those people and shows and stuff out there, Aaron showed me, first of all, Brian is so engaging.
Yeah, he
watching
is.
him and
He's
everything, the way
great
he
to
goes
watch.
about things, and he doesn't mess around. This is not like, well, you can throw a can of this in or that. This is like he creates the
Yeah,
ingredients.
if he makes a
and
sandwich,
stuff.
he's making the bread, the meat, the coleslaw,
yes,
the whole nine.
everything, and it's amazing. And we've done. I'll throw it over to Aaron because he started doing some of his recipes. I remember doing the apple fritter one.
I've done
Ring a bell.
I've done the apple fritters that he made. I've done the
pizza.
bread. I've done his
pizza dough?
His pizza and my pizza are from the same book.
Okay.
So
Tartine?
Yeah, tartine bread. But if I did a cooking channel, I would want it to be like this. He takes really advanced concepts and like dumbs it down for somebody like me that's not a professional chef.
But he's not dumbing it down because it's kind of hard to do what he's doing too. You got to have some. You're not a beginner. You're an intermediate.
Dumbing it down is a bad way to say it. He makes it approachable.
Yeah, he has a way. He has a
makes it
teaching
fun.
style of making you very welcome to his kitchen, and the way he presents it, and you get to watch the videos. It makes it very simple for somebody that doesn't really have a lot of experience to do these things.
and
Yeah,
entertaining.
Because he breaks it down, and he's funny and fun. It's very inviting, and it pulls you in.
It was like watching one of my friends teach me how to make dishes.
That's cool.
And that's what really like struck me about him and made I like would I hope my boss isn't listening when I say this. I would like sit at work and watch certain videos. Like when I did the apple fritters, I watched that apple fritter video like 30 times
Oh my gosh.
so that I could like really get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing. During COVID, I really found I liked to cook before that.
Yeah.
But I really found that baking and cooking was a huge stress reliever for
Yeah, it
me.
was an outlet for sure.
Yeah. And I only knew so much. Like I grew up in a Sicilian Jewish family, which is weird all by itself. And
It's not that uncommon if you ask around.
okay. But you know, we
Still
had
weird.
we had
It is
like
weird.
10 things that were in the rotation. Like my mom made bomb sauce.
Yeah, she does make bomb sauce
She
to this
made
day.
awesome lasagna and a couple of chicken dishes. My dad was great at barbecuing, and that was really it. And so my repertoire of stuff that I could cook was very quickly dwindling during lockdown. You know, we all started having our dinner night and all that. And I wanted to do something nice, you know, because we were home and, you know, nobody was going anywhere. And like, if I can find some relief from the pressure that I'm feeling just by cooking for the family and putting some love into it, like, all right, I'm going to do that. And then having somebody that made the more difficult stuff approachable, and also like somebody that likes the same kind of shit that I do. Like all the stuff on his channel is all
awesome.
stuff that I would like.
Yeah, he definitely
fuck
has.
yeah, I want that. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'll bet this dude is like a fish fan or something. Just from like the way he acts and some of the stuff that he says.
Yeah.
I had a feeling, and my feeling was off, but not by a mile.
No.
And you'll find out why. You'll find out why in the interview. I was close, but no cigar. But yeah, again.
But you did hit it out of the park with inviting him to be on the show, because it was a great conversation between all of us.
So much fun.
It was like one of those conversations where you leave like all hyped up after, because it was such a good conversation.
And I'm going to go back to the Apple Fritters for a minute.
Yeah, they
All
were
right.
incredible.
So all of you guys listening,
tell the story.
Yeah, this is like the Super Bowl of donut making for me, right? I'm gonna make these apple fritters, and I've watched the video
Who doesn't love apple fritters?
10,000 times, and I go for it, right? And I'm like doing the steps, and the last step is like, well, not the last, but one before you fry. I'm like, you cut up all the apples and you make the apple whatever it is, and then you roll the dough in like a cinnamon rolly kind of log thing and cut it up, and then you got to mash it back together. And when I did that, it wouldn't go back together, and I kind of like half-assed it.
I was like, it's because all the apple chunks are different sizes. You can tell it's
They
too
weren't
lumpy.
uniform.
Yeah.
And so I did it. I went ahead and I fried it, and it turned into instead
crispy
of
apple
six
pieces that were the most delicious things
was so
any of us
good.
had ever had. That's where I'll take it away. Yeah, apple. No, you can go ahead.
I think everybody out there knows. So hopefully, some point in your life, you know somebody that's learning to cook or is a really good cook. Sometimes chefs and cooks like screw ups
Yeah.
are like the best, even though they're not that happy with them. And it ended up with we were. And the funniest to me is, Mel, you're not that big of a sweet person. Like you'll eat a little bit and be like, oh, I'm good.
I've conditioned myself, and during that time, I was having all those problems with my stomach, so I like had to be good. And Aaron's sitting here making the most bomb ass shit that he's ever made, and it was so hard, but it was literally like crack for me. Everybody was outside; they were like smoking, and I'm like inside like a little fiend, like one finger in my mouth, the other one's grabbing another piece, and like it's simultaneous.
It was like little pieces of crack. I remember us saying that because it all broke apart when Aaron fried them in the special
turned
oil
into like
and everything.
50 fritters instead of 6.
Yeah, it turned on, but it was all these like, we have a thing in our house, crispy bits. Everybody loves the burnt cheese, whatever on stuff, crispy bits. That's what it was. And then Aaron piled them up. By the end of the, we're like sitting there like, oh, one more, because they're little tiny
so hard.
pieces,
and it didn't matter if they were hot or cold. It did not matter.
No.
And so if this will give you an idea out there of how good they were. On Apple's birthday,
oh yeah,
it was my dinner night, and I was like, dude, it's your birthday. What do you want me to make for dinner? You name it, I got you. And he was like, bro, can you make those apple fritters again? And I
yeah,
didn't
not
do it.
dinner. When you guys were talking about making a cake or whatever for it, and the apple.
Well, he said apple fritter or carrot cake, and so you were already making dinner. So I stepped in with the carrot cake, which with the gluten-free carrot cake.
It was good,
and it was amazing.
So
yeah, Mel kills it with the carrot cake. I've had carrot cake, I think, for my last several birthdays.
Well, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with music and food. Here's something that's the same. When you put love in those things, they are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And the people that are consuming the food or the music can feel the love that you put in the thing.
Or whatever you put in the thing.
And that,
the intention.
Yeah.
intention
Intention
that's in
and
it.
love
And
that goes in.
That's the thing with Brian.
Conscious or unconscious.
Brian really, like, towards the end of the interview, like, was talking about that his whole deal is like making this stuff more available for people so that they can cook for the people that they love and put that love into the food.
Yeah.
And that's dope.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you
cool.
guys are going to
Well
dig
said.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I want to back up to one thing too, just for a minute.
Uh-oh.
I just gotta go back to Aaron's mom's sauce, because just a
We
funny
glaze
thing about
over it.
that, we've been friends since we were fucking in our early teens, And I think every time, the last time was at Sydney's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I think every time your mom has made sauce, she has smacked me. Because she caught me at the
With your
wedding.
fingers in
it was
it?
like 2:00 in the morning, and I had helped Mel. It ended up being like all the women and me, like cleaning up. And I thought I was like, okay, everything's died down, nobody's around. And I grabbed like a piece of bread and went in, opened up the thing and got a meatball and dipped the bread in it. Turned around, like took a bite over the sink, and I turned, and there's your mom looking at me like. And I remember being younger, dude. I remember doing that one time, like, sneaking in, getting a piece of bread, dipping it, and hitting the sauce like about 15 or so. It's like that motherly
Smack on the arm.
like just get out of here. It's not ready yet, or that. Oh my god, her sauce.
Yeah, you don't even know, you guys. This stuff.
magic.
I've been away from Vegas for 5 years. Haven't had it except for at Sid's wedding. I've asked her to freeze it and send it up here.
Well, you actually made a really copycat version of hers.
It's not the same.
It's definitely not the same, but it's as close as. That's a really good close, because I've had both her sauce and your sauce.
So you make it good, but it doesn't have that it's that mom.
There's no mom juju in there. I don't have mom juju.
Yeah, you don't.
Let's address the elephant in the room. How you doing, Apple?
Why is it Apple? I think it's...
He poops square.
Yeah, he does. Maybe that's why the elephant came up earlier.
I'm going to do some research on that.
No, Apple wasn't with us on Monday. He wasn't feeling well, and he's here today. How's it going, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. I wasn't feeling good on Monday. Just kind of sum it all up. It was pointed out to me I haven't been really present in the last 2 weeks, which I've just... With everything opening back up and things going on, things being planned, like we've all been looking forward so much to things being planned, but a lot of things lately have just all come at me at once. And an unusual style of myself of just like having no filter and blurting things out and how I feel at the moment, I've actually taken a step back because of things recently of taking care of ourselves, maybe a little sacrament, this and that, of kind of rethinking things. And I guess in the last couple of weeks, I have been a lot more quiet because instead of my usual self of just not even processing things and just blurting things out, I've been more quiet and processing things, which is a new thing for me. And I think it's healthy, and it's going to help me to kind of figure things out myself at first before I go to other people and stuff. Because, I mean, sometimes it's good to share, but sometimes when you just have diarrhea of the mouth, a lot of times shit gets lost. And to me, another thing too is once it's spoken and you blurt it out, then it kind of loses meaning. So I'm kind of holding on to things and figuring things out. And this is like we keep talking about, kind of like what we call it, kind of like a renaissance getting ready to happen with stuff. And it's so weird. All of us have been cooped up for a year and a half. And now things are actually starting to happen. And it's weird. I'm realizing that too. Is try not to act like things affect us that much through like COVID and not giving them that fear and stuff. But with things opening back up, it's like holy shit, you start to kind of get used to that. And we've talked about like I could care less if things come. People were starting to get like that. Friends of ours, I felt that like I don't care about shows because I've gotten used to not caring.
Yeah. And
so now it's like a reawakening, plus just some things of myself processing things as I get older.
Well, tell us all about it.
That's what I'm kind of telling you about. Normally I might blurt things out, but no, it's just, I don't know. It's growing up and learning how to chill more too. I've always thought myself a chill person, but I pin up a lot of things and learn how to process that and chill, let things go, clean the closet, wash things, air the linens, all that, make room for the new. And we're getting ready to go into drawers. We're getting ready to go into a lot of new stuff with all the shows and things we all got coming up. We're planning vacations again where you ain't got to worry about shit. And, it's just awesome. And I wasn't feeling the greatest the other day. I don't know. I'm not chalking that up to anything. I don't know. It's allergy season. It's this and that, whatever excuses. I was not capable the other night, which is weird for me.
Yeah, so that's where I had to kind of step in because it just, when Apple's, well, you know, Aaron said it best. He was like, when any of us aren't doing well, meaning like if we're in a funk, if we're under the weather, if we're pensive more than usual, if we're just kind of like, you know, going to sleep early for multiple days in a row, it just kind of feels weird. But like, you know, we did go through a huge shift, you know, over the last few weeks. And it's crazy because your presence is such a big part of our home.
And the show.
And the show. And when it's missing, it really does feel like a chunk is out.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike with a flat tire. You're still going to get there. You're still going to get where you're going. It's just a little more difficult.
So I was like, so Apple, what's up, man? What's going on? How you feeling? You know, how to kick it like that, because Aaron and I have been talking about it the last couple days, and it's been bothering both of us. And Aaron was like, I think you should say something, Mel. It'll come more better, stronger from you. And I was like, well, I don't think that, but maybe we all should say something.
Well, it's not like I was afraid to say something.
No.
I know my brother. And
well, we addressed that earlier too. The thing with me and Aaron, I said it before we started all this earlier. And said the thing about me and Aaron have been close for so long. And there's a reason for that. It's because we're like twinsies. We're like, it's like looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. But like when you're looking in the mirror at yourself, you can tell yourself in your head or out loud, shut the fuck up. When it's your doppelganger in fucking reality, we get defensive with each other pretty quickly because we're so much alike in many ways.
It needed another perspective or another route.
And here's the thing, like, especially having done drugs together for so long, right? I'm not just talking about psychedelics. I'm talking about drugs. We know each other's bullshit so well.
Yeah.
Like, I know he knows all of my lies. Like, all of my fucking ways to weasel out, weasel out, weasel in, weasel sideways. Like, so we know all that. And, like, it's really easy to see each other's shit. Do you get what I mean by that? Like,
I do.
And when you're exposed like that in front of somebody, it's uncomfortable sometimes, especially when you're not feeling cool.
Yeah, you're not 100% in body or mind. Or
if there's something that you're like dealing with that you need to let go, and the other person sees it, and they're like, "Yo." You're let go of that fucking bag you're carrying.
Well, I know.
I'm not carrying a fucking bag. Yeah. Shut up.
Well, and Aaron was absolutely right, because with Mel, like you're my sister, my daughter, my mother, and I love you. Coming from a woman, and Aaron knows that too. We've talked about it on the show. I was raised by mostly women in my life and everything, so I have I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah.
With men sometimes, and I think a lot of men are like that. When another dude points out your shortcomings, it's like, well, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. What?
With
so
the
what?
women, and then you always say you just need. Mel knows me so well now too, and stuff. She knows how to like. So it just
Well, yeah, because it really is like, that's literally what I said. I said, so what's up, Apple?
And then a great conversation happened.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we're hugging in the kitchen.
And then immediately I let my, like family filtered. I was like, okay, this is what's going on. I'm sorry. I felt, so.
And it's like, one, it's like acknowledgement of something that's going on. Two, it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's no one's mad at you. And three, if you need to fucking let the beans out, let it out. And we're like, let's hug it out.
Well,
and we're never alone.
No,
we always say on that.
I just say the process because that's exactly like, you needed your space, but we were concerned at the same time. Like, now that we know that it's not about space and maybe just a little bit about going back to your old ways of behaving, at least it's called out. We are all cool. It's if whatever it takes, you got our support, and like,
and that's good to know. And sometimes when shit goes unspoken, which is weird when shit goes unspoken without us around here, because we talk so much and everything. But the other thing I wanted to, I'm sure we're gonna let us know out there too, and because the other big thing is like, after a year and a half of kind of being caged, the cage is getting opened, and it's weird. It's like, holy shit.
That's what
we really?
I was
so
talking
many
about it with my
times of
doctor
disappointment
today.
when we were thinking of things at the end of 2020, like things were gonna, and then getting disappointed and finally kind of giving in, like ain't shit gonna happen.
I gotta say,
now shit's happening for real.
Nate said to me today, he's like, I feel like a 9-toed caged animal that's just got let out of the zoo. I was like, yep, that's you with a fucking heart of gold coming out of, and here's the thing, man. Like, I've even had that in the back of my head as we're making plans and getting ready to go to our first show. Is like, well, the possibility that it could get canceled is still out there. Like, fuck that shit, man. You know what? The doors are open. It's time to go back out.
Yeah.
And that's that. I got a new attitude.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great mindset. But then,
all of us are going through a heavy transition right now. And if we are not here for each other, then what else is there? What are we doing here?
Well, and that was something that I missed telling you guys on Tuesday when we dropped that episode. If you haven't heard that intro, go back and listen to it.
That was a good intro.
For all of you out there too, man, if you're going through shit during this time, as we're all like coming out of the cage, and you're struggling, or you're dealing with anxiety, or there's shit that needs to be cleaned up that you're having a hard time cleaning up, or if you're struggling with some shit in your head and you just can't untie the knot, do us a solid, do yourself a solid, reach out to us at info@nosimpleroad.com. Hit me up in the DMs on Instagram. Reach out to friends. Don't just sit with that shit by yourself. None of us has to go back out there alone, man. Not one of us.
The thing is like, once you release it, like exactly what we were just all went through with Apple, like once it was like the put the little pin in the balloon, it slowly starts to deflate. It's like, yeah, the fart of life. It's the fart of life.
Yeah, man.
No, but seriously, it's amazing to be able to just let that out and not hold it in and make yourself suffer silently. Like, that's not fucking fair to anybody.
No.
So.
Yeah. So that's that.
Reach out to
Reach out
whoever
and
you
touch
feel comfortable reaching out to.
Reach out and just say hi.
Reach out
For all of
and
you
touch
that understand what I just said.
somebody's
Shout out.
hand.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're older.
Yeah,
Alright.
you're old like me. So yeah, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Apple, right on, man.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that so
Yeah.
so eloquently and so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that's cool about you, Apple, too, is like you like take the criticism, like when you're in the right frame of mind, right? When you're in the right frame of mind, when you're ready, like you have this armor that happens, but you slowly let it down. You could see, like when we were talking, like you were saying what you needed to say and you're like literally deflating. You could see it like kind of lessening and almost like the blood pressure dropping, but then you really do immediately change. Like, I know me as a woman, I can kind of like keep the stink on for like in a few hours,
An extra
or
20 minutes.
20 minutes, but you really are just kind of like drop it. And that's another thing that you do too, babe. I admire that in both of you. That's how you guys are twinsies, is like, yeah, okay, I was a fucking dumbass but I'm sorry. And hey, okay, so you guys want to get something to eat, or like,
Are we cool now?
yeah,
Moving on now?
exactly.
Shit.
And that's a really cool thing that I learned from you guys. So if you guys are learning anything from me and like my communication skills, that's what I learned about you guys.
Something else that
Thank you for that. That's fucking cool.
Yes,
cool.
it's true.
Something else that I thought of that I wanted to tell all of you out there. One of our favorite things about going to shows before COVID was seeing and meeting all of you at shows
Yeah, it
and
was
having
getting
the
fun.
No Simple Road family dancing together. And we are going to be at Yonder Mountain String Band and Infamous String Dusters on Tuesday night here in Portland. And then the following Tuesday, we're going to be at Green Sky. We are also doing the Gorge Fish. We're doing Matthew Night Arena Fish. We're doing Halloween Vegas Fish. We're going to be at Andy Frasco here in Portland.
We're going to do Tonarowin.
We're going to be at Tonarowin. What else?
Lettuce.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be at Lettuce
December.
here. We're also going to be at Green Sky Bluegrass and Circles Around the Sun at Red Rocks on September 18th.
We got a lot going on.
So the reason I'm saying all this if you're hearing the sound of my voice and you're going to be at any of those shows, hit me up, man. Let's hook up. Let's
Are we
hang out
gonna? Or I
together.
don't even know if you did that. I'm remiss on that. I haven't looked at the website. Are we gonna start updating the calendar?
Oh shit!
Our calendar of events,
Yes.
for people to see,
Yes.
and
Hell yeah.
that helps me and Mel too to be
Oh,
able to look
yeah.
at the calendar and know what's coming up, because we already got a lot. We've already started running into that too, and that's that anxiety
We're
we
gonna
used
miss
to get.
Billy Strings.
Yeah, of it's like we gotta go to shows, and it's like, oh look, Billy Strings is coming to Edgefield. Oh.
That's the day we
Shit.
leave.
We're gonna be going to Colorado, but you know that. But that's a good. That's a good
But we're gonna
thing
go to Red
have.
Rocks. Like if we can't see Billy Strings in our hometown because we're going to Red Rocks for
gonna
the
see
first
him.
time,
Yeah, I don't want to hear anybody crying.
there's no. I can't. This blessing I'm missing out, but I'm getting this blessing. Fine.
And what an amazing thing to have back. It's annoying,
Right?
but it's like, wait, there's so many things to do now that I
I'm-
can't do them all.
Yeah, I'm just
Bring it
grateful.
on.
I'm grateful that I can get the time off. I'm grateful that things are starting again, so we have something to do. I'm just grateful for all of it.
I'm training like Rocky for what's about to happen.
You sure have been.
Fucking-
Why don't you tell about your week, babe?
I did already.
Oh, okay.
I remember on Monday or Tuesday or whenever the
Well,
hell.
we're in another day.
Call,
Another
like,
dollar.
2 days later.
I'll tell you what.
Do you feel any better?
About what?
Our
That's hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The minute I heard you guys start to talk when I came in the house, I went and stayed in here on purpose.
No, you didn't.
He was like this at the
I
door.
was at the door
With the ear.
listening. I was with the glass.
That was a private conversation.
Yeah, of course I feel better. And whenever, like you said, whenever any of us are out of sorts here in the house, the energy changes. And from being home for 16 months now,
You're more
I've-
in tune with the
I've-
house
exactly,
and the feeling
than
here than
ever
anything.
in my whole life.
Yeah.
I know
in the
this
you're in the
space
bubble.
all the fucking time. And
We bring
when-
shit back into the bubble. I can come home with some shades like, what's that doo-doo following
Yep.
you into the bubble?
Yep, and I'm out there cleaning the bubble every morning too. But still, like, I feel
Can't
it
do
when
it yourself.
when it's off kilter. You know what I mean? And it's fucking uncomfortable. And like, I used to be really good at ignoring that shit. Like I would.
And that's not a good thing to do.
No, but
Right?
I was like the master at like, oh, shit's uncomfortable, and I'm gonna not pay attention to that until it's gone. And
Yeah, that sucks.
yeah, it was a great skill I learned from my mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. But I can't do that anymore. Like my,
We're grown up.
yeah, well, that and like my empathy bone, it's just like tuned to the house, and so yeah, I feel 1,000% better, and you know, we've talked a lot about the 2 weeks ago and having Jeff here and all that, and like.
I feel like we could talk about it for the rest of our lives and
I
never
do
say the
too,
same thing.
But still, you know, I don't want to get into it too much. But like,
Yeah, it's a private.
it's a private thing. But like, there's a adjustment period that's happening now, and it feels good. Like owning your shit feels really good.
Yeah, it
and
does.
like letting go of the stuff that doesn't serve me anymore, it feels good. And it couldn't be more perfectly timed. It was like I was saying on Tuesday, gave me a whole new perspective on how I'm approaching returning to the music and our
Yeah.
family. And I'm really fucking grateful for that. And able to do it with my laces tied tight. Do you know what I mean by that? Like my boots are on. I'm ready to fucking roll.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it feels good, man. So
It looks good.
that's where I'm at. Let's do this thing. Like I'm like at this point I'm really struggling, I'll say this, to be in the moment. Because there's so much coming
Things
up
coming on.
that I'm like not letting myself look forward to stuff on purpose. Because I fucking did that forever and you're not doing that anymore.
Why not make a balance? Now you did it forever. Now you're never going to do it again. That's a surefire way to.
I'm excited to go to see stuff. I'm going to say that. But I'm not like, I would like have a countdown on my.
So you're more tempered. You
Yeah,
learn a little bit more patience.
I'm trying. I'm doing my, I want to fucking scream. I can't fucking wait, woo! But I'm not going to do that.
You can do
Take
a
it
little.
as
You
it
can
comes and
get a
enjoy
little bit
it
of
when
that
it's
energy
here.
and bring it in. I like that. Like maybe like I can't fucking take it. Oh, woohoo!
So yeah, that's where I'm at, baby.
Jazz it up, baby.
About you?
Well, I'm feeling great now that all the riffraff is cleared. Those funky little thoughts and those necessary pauses and uncomfortable silences, and I just love working through stuff together. That like, I don't care what our problems are. Immediately after, when we're on the upside, I'm just so proud of us as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes me know that magic is real. Because if I imagine these things in my head and then all of a sudden 2 minutes later, like we're doing exactly what I thought, magic is definitely real. That's one, like, again, we don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but when I learned about over the last couple weeks,
This one time at band camp.
but over the last couple weeks is like, found a newfound like love for myself and appreciation for myself. And
Yes.
a confidence of myself that I didn't have prior. And the only reason I know that is because I didn't feel like this. I'm not like putting myself down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I didn't have, no. I have something that I didn't have before in my spirit. And it's making me see things differently. And it's making me realize that I do have authority and that I can make things go smoothly and calmly. And I can make people know that they feel loved, and I can wield a very beautiful sword, and I appreciate that about myself. And I'm like opening up my eyes to the beauty in so much stuff that it was right in front of my face, and it starts with me because I'm right in front of my face. And then,
Well, you're actually right behind your face too.
but when I look at it, I'm in front
All
of it.
around your face.
If I look at my face, I'm in front of it.
Okay.
All depends on how you're
But
looking at it.
yeah, no, it just I'm feeling, it's like I'm learning my sea legs. Like, how does it feel to be in this empowered mindset? And okay, let me put these shoes on for a while. And I've felt very radical, like I need to get rid of every article of clothing and start fresh.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
feel like, who the fuck
Hey.
is this Melanie? Like, okay, that's some cool pieces, but so what? Like, this was like 20 years ago. And I'm not even that old, but it's like 20 years ago, 5 years ago. It feels like a head shave moment, but with my closet. Like, get everything the fuck out of here. I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at those same fabrics, even though I like them. What else is new? Like, what do you have to, if you can have like $100 and go into a store and come out with your new outfit.
Nowadays, you get like one sleeve of a T-shirt.
That's very
for
true.
$100.
And
So if you're going to get one T-shirt.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's like kind of what I was saying. That's how I feel like when you're cleaning out things that you've held on to for 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
Whether
so
whether it's a
why?
T-shirt, it could be an old pair of fucking underwear or something.
It
Something
could-
that's an attachment. When you let that go, that had something else that's
You
got to go
don't-
with it.
You don't see it
internally.
anymore, so it's not a constant reminder. So it's like what we were saying, Apple, earlier. It's like you forgive yourself, but then you don't move on.
Yeah.
You forgive the offense or whatever, the trauma, but then you stay in it. You don't go past it, and that's what it feels like. And for me, like, now there's certain things that need to be flushed out, not just acknowledged, acknowledged and flushed.
Say the difference of letting something go by throwing it away, or like nurturing, like slowly, like
Yeah.
okay, like understanding it and
So I
letting
called
it go.
the Veteran Memorial and made an appointment for us to be able to
Drop off a whole bunch
Well,
of
no,
shit.
they're going to come pick everything up at the house, which is so dope. And they need like everything. They're asking for like small household items and like linens and whatever and clothes. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. We have a deadline.
Boom.
It's not too close and it's not too far. Get your shit together and do it.
Right
and
on.
supporting veterans. And all
Yeah.
that too. That's
yeah, that's yes, exactly.
So, yay us.
We had a
family.
really
Yay
good.
us.
Our Monday wasn't as well. We did. It was good for Aaron and I. We had a great
Mhm.
day, but for No Simple Road, it was just a little bit more of a challenge. We said that you had PTO, Apple.
Yeah, we gave you PTO time.
PTO
You
time.
actually, yeah, you
Okay.
paid time off from the show for that day.
But you're not really getting paid though. You're getting paid
It's just
with
time
love.
off.
Yeah.
All right, let's get him to the interview. Let's do the business.
business.
The business.
Follow us on all the social media platforms at No Simple Road. You can check out the No Simple Road YouTube channel.
That's right.
Yeah, the link is up on our website, and there's a couple videos up there as well. And yeah, if you're new to the show, hey, I'm Aaron,
This is Mel.
And this is Apple.
and if you're going, Jesus Christ, they're still talking, they haven't gotten to the interview yet. This is what we do every week. We check in with the family, we hang out, we talk for a little while, and then we get you to the
That's
interview.
why there's a fast forward, or you just listen. Those are two choices
we hope
you
you
have.
just
We
listen.
hope you
Yeah, we
listen.
hope you listen, because then you get to
You
know
have
us,
control of
and
your
then
own destiny.
You sure do. This
Yes.
is like one of those books. Choose your own adventure.
You can. And you can also choose your own adventure by calling 971-808-1524. That number again,
971-808-1524. Dang.
operators are standing by. You can call that number. It is the No Simple Road Tepid line.
Yeah.
And you can leave a voicemail. And I mean, okay, here's the thing. You could leave a recipe. Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
Because we're food, the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Right?
You could tell us about your first experience going to see live music since pandemic. You could tell us
About the bees you raised during the pandemic.
They're okay.
About your anxieties, about things that are coming on in the world and things opening back up, like I said earlier.
About
Yeah.
why brown eggs are brown and white eggs are white.
And specifically, let us know what you think about elephants pooping squares.
It's true.
Oh,
It might be donkeys. It's either donkeys or elephants. It's one of the two. Anyway,
You're changing your story
seen a
now.
square turd.
so yeah, that's the tepid line. Also, if you go to www.nosimpleroad.com, you can sign up for the newsletter there. That way you can find out about all the cool stuff that's going on with No Simple Road, find out where we're going to be, all that stuff. And also, there's a merch tab. There's coffee cups and fanny packs and T-shirts and stickers and all kinds of cool
All
stuff
kinds of
up
cool
there.
stuff.
And also, the most important thing you can do for No Simple Road is leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Leave us a 5-star.
We need one for June, y'all. We don't have a June yet.
We don't have a June yet. I'm
don't think so.
Oh,
Me and
I
Jack-
turned
me-
off my phone.
Me and Mel are both racing.
No,
to
you
see.
should race
I
closer
think
because I.
Is there one?
I don't know. What? Okay.
No, there isn't one. And
Updating
check
library. It never
this
does
out,
that.
y'all. Go to patreon.com/No
Patreon.
Simple Road. That is how we pay for all the stuff we do, and that is how we can keep bringing you all the content that we bring you. And we're appreciative to everybody that has signed up on Patreon. We
Thank
love
you
our
so
Chan
much.
donators.
We had 3 Chan donators last week. That is
boom.
so awesome. You guys, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for listening.
Thanks
Thank you
again,
for
fam.
referring your best friend to listen to your favorite show. Thank you for writing in. Thank you
Last
for the love.
But not least at all, I need you all to do No Simple Road a solid. We're all part of this musical community together, and we all have friends and family that are part of this community as well that don't know about No Simple Road. So do us a solid and tell somebody you know about the show. Say, hey man, check out this interview with Dave Schools, or check out this interview with O'Teal, or
Billy Strings.
John Medeski, Jeff
Eric
Carenti.
Krasno.
You if you can think
Duncan
of it,
Trussell.
might have talked to him. So tell somebody. We'd appreciate it. And that's how the show can grow as well. So thanks, you guys. We're going to get you to the interview right now. Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you Brian from
Weeds and Sardines. Hey, that's a good friend.
What's up, Brian? I'm Aaron. How you doing, man?
Hey, Aaron. I'm Brian. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
yeah, and this is Mel over here. Thanks for joining us, even though you're not feeling the best.
Yeah, no, happy to be here for sure.
And then I'm Apple, the other co-host here. So welcome.
What's up, man?
Good to have you here today, man.
Apple, Aaron, and Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too, man. So, Brian, I mean, I guess it probably seemed weird when I reached out to you. Like, what the fuck? These guys are like music and culture podcast. Why are they reaching out to a YouTube chef?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like, okay, cool. They're into it. I'm into it. Sounds fun.
I love that. He definitely is. He was your first huge fan, and he's become the baker extraordinaire in the house, and has probably watched every one of your videos,
Yeah,
and
for
has
sure.
cooked several
Oh,
of
wow.
them. Yeah, and then we quickly became fans too, because he was like, we're like, what are you watching? You know, like anything. What are you watching? He's like, you got to check this guy out. This is great, and what you bring to your show, dude, is just a great. great cooking and humor and just everything. It's very enjoyable and very approachable too.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try pretty hard.
It shows.
You got to try hard, especially when it's just you in front of the camera. You know, like it's hard to just throw it away when you've got so many people looking and expecting what's the next thing, you know?
Yeah, it takes a while to get comfortable in front of camera too. Like I'm not a natural talent when it comes to that, for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm on your boat too.
We just did an intro yesterday about that very thing, about the YouTube space is new for us. Like we're 200 episodes in the podcast almost.
Yeah, congrats, by the way. I saw that.
Thanks, man. But the YouTube thing is new, and we're all like figuring it out and adjusting. And that's one of the things that struck me about what you're doing is the look of it. There's a lot of people that are doing cooking on YouTube. I mean, it's just, that's a thing.
And it's fun to watch.
It is fun. But the way you pull it off, and I felt like one of my friends was teaching me how to cook.
Oh, good. That's exactly what I want. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for, basically. So,
how did that start, Brian? Like you just one day woke up and decided, fuck it, I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So I was, I've been cooking professionally for like 11 years, and most recently, like as a consultant chef. And when the pandemic came around, obviously like that work dried up overnight instantly. Ugh. So wow. YouTube has been something that I've been really a huge fan of since day one. Like pretty much everything I've learned how to do as an adult, I learned from YouTube.
Dang.
Like today, like I told you guys, I've just been bumming around the house all day, and it's like I probably watched like 50 YouTube videos today. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so like the pandemic hit, and it was like I had no work. So this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. So like the first day of like lockdown or whatever, I just bought a camera and decided to start giving it a try. My wife was, she was interested in helping out too. So we were kind of trying to figure out what to do. Cooking seemed like a natural thing. Like I've, like anybody, I know a certain number of things that I could teach other people how to do. And cooking seemed like the most natural fit. I'm a huge home gardener too. And that's like where the weeds part came from. It was going to be like a gardening and cooking channel. And like, that didn't really work out. I didn't even make one video that was gardening and cooking, just because like once you get into it, you realize that you have to be pretty specific to be successful. And I didn't want to just dabble. The goal from the beginning was to like turn it into a successful YouTube channel. So yeah, that's kind of how it got started.
So,
wow. So just a year then?
Yeah, it's funny. The timing of this podcast is really interesting because we're like, I started the YouTube channel 363 days ago. So
wow.
And we hit 50,000 subscribers yesterday.
Woo!
Congratulations. I saw,
Yeah.
man. That's huge, dude. That's
a quick timing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. Like, do you have a lot of friends that kind of help support that and promote that? Or was that all you and your wife's hard work putting it in?
I think at first we got a little bit of momentum from friends, like in St. Louis where I live. I'm like, pretty well connected. No, I'm just kidding. I have a lot of chef friends here.
It's all right.
I'm just kidding. But I have a lot of chef friends here who, like they're fans right away. And there are some like food magazines locally who picked it up right off the bat because they had been covering some of the stuff I had been doing when I was like a restaurant chef. So, we got like 1,000 subscribers, a little faster than maybe some would just be from that. But other than that, like once you exhaust the pool of like the 250 people, like it's all brutal, slow growth. Strangers at that point,
Wow. So a huge congratulations is in order because we're coming up on the 1 year. You hit 50,000 and you're doing something that you love.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. And like the 50K was like really unexpected. My wife and I in February, the channel, like I think February 1st, the channel was at like 4,500 subscribers. And we're like, oh, we're coming up on a year. Man, it would be cool if we could have gotten to 5,000, and then the algorithm picked up a couple of our videos and we grew pretty fast. And then we got this thing called Creator on the Rise, and that did a little bit more growth to help us get there. So, I mean, it's definitely far surpassed where I thought it would be in a year. It's pretty fun.
That's nuts. So wait a minute. That. Hang on a second. From February to now, it's gained 25,000.
Like
Or no,
46,000.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus. Yeah. Math.
Yeah,
That's
pretty crazy.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, so I think the way it works is you make a bunch of videos and they suck, right? And
Yep.
like the process of making a bunch of videos makes you better at making videos.
Yeah.
And then let's say by like video 50, you've at least figured out a formula that like a product that isn't embarrassing, you know?
Yeah.
And then you make another 20, 25, and people who show up to your channel see those better videos and they're like, the conversion rate of them becoming a viewer then is higher and it happens faster. And then you get a little bit of like credibility in the eyes of like the algorithm too. Because as you make better videos, they become like your watch percentage goes up. Like the algorithm can see that people are watching this video for a lot longer than a bad video, you know, so it kind of starts to learn that your content is at least decent. And when people are shown the content, they click on it. And so then like you go through this vetting period where it's like you got to learn how to make a good video, and then the algorithm starts giving you shots, and you know eventually one video could break and you could, you know, like that video got 500,000 views in like a week. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I feel incredibly lucky that that happened. It was not a given that that was going to happen at any point in time. But if you like you dive into the analytics of like popular creators, especially in the food space, like it usually comes down to like after a certain amount of time, if they've learned how to make good videos, you know, the growth starts happening. So that, you know, I rest, that gives me a little bit of peace of mind.
Yeah. No, man, that's huge. And I guess this conversation is totally selfish at this point for me because fuck it. I didn't know that. And I know what you're saying because I'm working from home, and my job, what I do, I can half watch YouTube videos while I work. So it's kind of cool.
Sounds like a good gig.
It's great. And
He's spoiled.
yeah. And I've seen what you're talking about, the shitty videos at first, like following somebody and seeing the shitty videos at first, and then you see them get lights. And
yeah,
then you see,
totally.
yeah,
Dude.
and
yeah,
you see the
that's
like,
exactly
like
it.
us, we got lights, and you see them get a better camera, and then they're made up, and the set changes, and you're like, oh, okay. And I've noticed now that you're saying it, those videos now are getting more subscribers, and it's doing better. And it's funny that it's weird that we're having this conversation because we just did an interview with this guy Jamel, aka Jamal, and he's like almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube. This guy's huge. He does reaction videos.
Yeah, I listened to that one.
Oh, okay, cool. And you know, our YouTube channel was never a thing, like I said. So you know, the videos that we put up would get like 50 views, 100 views, because it's just the people that are into that thing that are going to listen to that. And we put him up, and in one day, 2,500 views for one. And then I noticed that my friend here is getting our videos suggested to him through the algorithm, and my nephew.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a thing.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like the more you get, I mean, honestly, I could talk for like hours and hours about YouTube algorithm and how much time I spend obsessing about trying to figure out how to like win at it. But yeah, I mean, the podcast thing I think is particularly tricky because it's such long form content that it's not really optimized for this platform. Like, even though a lot of people do watch video podcasts, those types of videos don't really get recommended unless you're like a meteoric, like superstar podcaster,
right,
like Joe Rogan or whatever, who gets hundreds of millions of views per video, you know? So like a lot of the clip channels of podcasts end up being more popular, at least from what I've seen, because it's shorter form content and it's more like all of the juicy bits in one short
meat.
period. So like the watch time is like higher.
Totally. And
well, that's what I want to watch. I mean, you see the picture here. Everyone wants to stare at us for an hour and a half just sitting here. We hardly move or anything.
Why don't you move more, man?
Yeah.
Just sit here, make it exciting.
I like video podcasts though. I mean, the podcast, I think everybody has a rotation of podcasts that they listen to weekly. I'm like 6 or 7, and there's a couple that do video, and I definitely go out of my way to watch them on video. I mean, not the whole time, you know, not like I can get 3 hours to sit down and watch video, but I enjoy it. You know, it's like with any content creator, you kind of build this like weird fake relationship with them where you don't really know them, but you feel like you know them because you've watched or listened to them for like hours and hours. And yeah, you're just like loyal. You're like, I want to see what they're up to this week. And I enjoy video podcasts a lot.
So what are you binging, or what's your like, favorite few that you watch or listen to?
Like podcast wise, it's funny. Like I listen to a lot of like space podcasts, like really specific, very detailed, very nerdy space, like hard space, not like sci-fi.
Okay.
Like string theory stuff, like that kind of stuff.
No, like space flight. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's something I've always been a fan of, and now I'm like really into it. So whatever's going on at NASA or SpaceX or whatever, my wife's she's gonna listen to this. She's gonna laugh. Like, why did you bring up the space podcast?
Tell her I asked.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, like I could, yeah, it's just something I really am very fascinated by. And right now there's just a lot going on. It's like this whole new era of that whole thing. So there's just a lot of news to keep up on, but in terms of like longer form, not nerdy podcasts, like Lex Friedman, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's like he's a artificial intelligence researcher at MIT, and he has a podcast where he has like super interesting people on. I found out about him from Joe Rogan, and like Joe Rogan's podcast, I think I have mixed feelings on. I like it, I listen to it, but like every episode isn't for me. I don't tune in all the time, but I found a lot of very interesting people through that podcast, and Lex Friedman is definitely one of them. He's super smart, very insightful, and the people he has on are people that definitely don't make it onto like a lot of mainstream style podcasts. So I definitely recommend checking that one out.
Yeah, I wrote it down because that sounds interesting.
It's strange, man. Like 10 years ago, podcasting wasn't a thing, and YouTube was, but ish. And now a show like Joe Rogan, like, that can move society. That thing can actually like create waves and change and thought and trends. Yeah, it's nuts. And YouTube can do the same thing. And there's a lot of power in that, and a lot of I don't know. It's the Wild West, and it's kind of cool. It's cool to be a part of it.
It's awesome, dude. I mean, so for me, first of all, I totally agree. Podcasts, and whether it's YouTube or whatever, just like all of this content that people are consuming now being on the internet and being made by regular people and people developing businesses around that, I think is so interesting to see like what can happen with it. Yeah. There's like a middleman of advertising and mediation that's been taken out of the equation. Normally, like a few people would get to decide what everybody watches or listens to, and they were the curators of the conversation. And that, I think that has some benefits, and that like some fringe stuff might not make it into the, the eyes or ears of people that really don't need it. But, other than that, like, moving those programmers or radio station managers or whatever out and allowing people to consume whatever super niche content they want and that they're interested in, and have the people who create that content be able to make a living doing it, is like an incredibly interesting thing. It's like really drives me. I'm super, super excited to have an opportunity to even try,
Yeah.
And another thing on what you said, the listeners or the watchers get to actually participate with the person on the screen. And that's a whole other thing. Like, when were you ever able to, like hang out with like Brad Pitt? You don't get to talk to him. He's like this icon. You never see him, never, just dreams and stuff. But then all of a sudden we can reach out to somebody like yourself who has, I just want to say this on a personal note. Thank you for what you did personally, because you have really helped Aaron. Well, of course, the food, the baking, all that stuff. But like, you just helped to give him another outlet and to fall in love with cooking. And he's always been interested in it, but not like seriously. But once he saw you and the things that you were doing and the content, it just changed. It changed a lot around here.
It upped the game, man.
It really did up the game.
Oh, wow.
And
Well,
I appreciate
awesome.
that a lot, because you're just doing your thing. Like you said, you like, okay, I'm going to do
Like,
YouTube channel. Like, had nothing to do with Aaron or trying to help anybody. You're trying to help yourself. Like, you're figuring it out. But, it's, one of my things is that I'm always so grateful, and we interview a lot of musicians, and just the gratitude for doing your craft openly to allow people to be blessed by it. So that's
Yeah.
really what it is. And so thank you for that, honestly, Brian. Like, that is the best.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you guys for watching. And I like, as a creator, like whether it's a podcast or YouTube channel or whatever, like I just take inspiration from all those people too, as well. That like I see that they're doing something that I find interesting, and they're making a living doing it, or a part-time living or whatever. And that inspires me to up my game, try harder, try and make content that's more engaging, that more people will like or be interested in. And yeah, it's just a cool journey to be on. And I'm glad you guys are using the recipes. That's really important to me. There's a lot of YouTube creators that aren't interested in that. They just kind of want to make entertainment content.
Yeah.
Nothing against that. That's great. I watch YouTube for entertainment as well.
Totally.
I'm more interested in a hybrid for my style, because I don't think I'm entertaining enough to just not teach somebody something as well. But I mean, I like some of the bigger food creators definitely would even say like they're not super interested in people cooking their recipes. It's just like they want to, purely dazzle them.
Wow. I see.
Okay.
Well, I know several people. I have several friends and stuff that they don't know how to cook. They don't want to know how to cook, but they spend so much time watching cooking shows.
What the fuck?
It's like watching reality shows, like the Kardashians they just love watching it and going ooh and ah, and then they'll go out to a restaurant to seek that out, which that's awesome. Well, when you can go to restaurants. But I don't quite understand that, because we're a house full of cooks. We all have our own things we like to cook. We enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
We each have a cooking night. There's their son and their nephew, so there's 5 of us. Each of us have a night, so 5 days out of the week it's covered for who's cooking dinner. And then there's the 2 kind of do-it-yourself nights and stuff. But no, your recipes, and me and Aaron a couple of times. Like right now, I want to do your chili one. After watching the chili video, Aaron's like, "Well, I was going to do it." And it's like, "Well, I want to do that one. You did the other one. Why don't you do the ziti?" And there's like kind of those conversations, and then we just say, it's like, well, that like especially the chili one, it's a little more involved. Where it's like, well, why don't we do that together?
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome.
Brian, man, on the heels of what Mel said, like for me. I work a day job. I produce a podcast that's actually seeing success. That's crazy. So that's 2 jobs. And then I have a family. And then throw a pandemic in there. And not to mention, we're a live music podcast and there's no live music happening. Like at the beginning of this thing, I'm like, No Simple Road's not going to survive this. We're done. But we found our way. And in the midst of all that, and I'm sure you felt it too, man, is the roller coaster of emotion of being locked down and quarantine and everything that's going on in the world. Like, it's not easy. And cooking has been the one thing for me that, like, when I'm doing that, I'm not thinking of any of that shit. Like, it was gone. And I realized it, like, I would be like 5 sourdough starters deep in the kitchen, losing my mind. And I would realize that I was like doing it because I was stressed out and it was helping. And I was like, holy shit, this is like really helping. And at that point, like when I figured that out, I was like, okay, I'm going to take this up a notch. Like if I'm going to do this, I'm not just going to half-ass it, I'm going to do it right. And that's when I found your channel. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's funny. And he explains why for a lot of the stuff that I never understood. I just kind of did it because the recipe said do it and didn't know. And it did something for our house in a weird way, man. Like it made
took
everybody
the attention
closer.
off of the shitty parts that Aaron was talking about, the pandemic, being locked down, not being able to go out to eat, be with your friend, have coffee. Like it's fine for a few months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Then we get freaking ants in our pants and it becomes too much. Yeah. And so Aaron's a super busybody. Like he has enough work to keep all of us busy for the next 3 months. but he still needed his own personal time, and that's what your channel brought him, like his own personal think time without task oriented. No one was expecting sourdough bread. It wasn't like it had to be done.
Yeah.
but it was. And so that's, I guess YouTube and on its content creators really have changed what we're able to do. You know what I mean? Like we're able to see what we're able to think of. Like you mentioned earlier, it was just like NBC, CBS, Fox. You can watch this, that, or that.
You're going to see what the man tells you to see.
Yeah, but with the, like you said, super niche. Like, okay, now I can go sit there and, watch this ayahuasca retreat, from the comfort of my home. Like it's amazing what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very interesting how successful people can be with it too. Like my wife was watching today, we're like planning a trip maybe at the end of the year to go to Asia, and she's watching many videos of a guy reviewing convenience store foods in Tokyo, and he has like millions of subscribers.
Whoa.
And it's like, that's the whole channel. And it's like, if you would have told somebody that 12 years ago, you'd have been like, that truly is the future.
Oh yeah, you'd be
we're pitching that channel to the network.
You'd be laughed out of the boardroom.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
But I mean, like, somebody who is into technology would be like, yeah, that's totally where this could go. Like the potential is there.
And there's no rhyme or reason,
you're connecting
right?
audiences and creators, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask, man, like the recipes that you come up with that you're doing, I see that like you'll sometimes put a clip of a failed attempt or like something that didn't work out. So can you take me through the process of like how you figure out what you're going to do, and then like, is it one a week or what's the deal? Yeah.
So up until recently, like I was just kind of going week by week, trying to decide what to make. And now the videos have sponsors, so we kind of have to be a little bit more organized about, not all the videos, but some of them. So we have to be a little bit more organized about when we're going to make a video, and there's just more work associated with that. So I kind of have to be working a few weeks ahead of time at this point. So I have like the next 6 videos sketched out, and I kind of slowly do the R&D as I can, but I can't do the bulk of the work until it's like the week of me making that video, because it's just too much to think about talking head, writing a script, and like developing multiple recipes at the same time. But so like from a single video perspective, the first like 45 videos were all stuff that I've personally developed for restaurants in the past. So it was like really, I've made them thousands of times. Like this process is bulletproof, and I actually have a grammed out recipe like in my, my book or whatever. So, but then when you run out of those, you have to like come up with an original thought every week, and that's tricky. Mm-hmm. And so I try and document some of that stuff if it fits into the story of the video, because you got to keep it moving. And sometimes it adds, sometimes it doesn't add. So like to clarify, sometimes putting the clips of me messing up adds value, and sometimes it does not. But yeah, so like, let's talk about what was ZD, right? It came out a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I made that 4 times before I filmed it. And luckily the channel is making a little bit of money. So like from donations and stuff, and we have like Google ad revenue turned on. So I can afford to buy $75 worth of pasta stuff and it not be a total loss. So yeah, I made it 4 times because my goal in the end is to create something that I would want to use. So there's a website out there called Serious Eats that I'm a huge fan of. America's Test Kitchen, I'm a huge fan of. And that's because they like, the recipes are vetted, and they're not perfect every time. I usually look to those places as like a starting point if I've literally never made something before or thought really deeply about how to make something. And usually I'll start with their recipes, and they're not what I want out of the thing. Like the baked ziti recipe for Serious Eats was nowhere close to what I wanted. And that's cool. It's cool to see all these different perspectives and techniques that I wouldn't normally go, like they wouldn't be natural moves for me. So I'm learning something constantly, because there's a very specific type of person I want to use the recipe, like you guys who are not pros, but you want to create something that is like good, and not, this isn't like a get dinner on the table in 10 minutes type thing. It's like, no, you want to like put in the time to make something special to share with the people that you really care about. And you want it to like that work to have like bear fruit. You don't want it to be like complicated and hard and it's a mess and it's it's not like a vetted recipe. Like that would be the biggest defeat, is to like have somebody be frustrated in the process because it wasn't designed well, and
Thanks,
then have
man.
like the end product not work out. So like that's another part of what the R&D is about, is like refining the process so that it makes sense for the average person to do. Sometimes I like to make it a little bit more like restaurant, because I think it's more interesting and you can expose people to a new technique, but I'll also like leave ways to get out of it. You know, like in the chili video, especially, you know, there's a few ways to sort of like choose your own adventure as to how hard you want to make it. So yeah, that's kind of like the working process. There is a decent amount of R&D that goes into every video, because for me, like I tried a few videos at the very beginning where I would just like make someone else's recipe, and I was like, it just wasn't something I was inspired about.
Well, I think that would show too, especially with you, because it seems personal for you. Like it comes across that you're enjoying what you're doing. You know what I mean? At least to me.
That's good. I do really enjoy it. It's super hard work. No doubt. There's a lot of,
dude.
So are you editing the video too?
yeah, I do
Jesus
all of like the content creation. I do. My wife helps me like run the channel. She does like all of the back end stuff on YouTube, which is really important that I don't have the mind for. And, you know, like as the channel grows, like opportunities come up that I also don't have time to pursue. So she helps me with that a lot. And she also is like a really, really good sounding board for like the design, like what the food needs to be like. And, you know, she just has a good creative eye and helps keep me in the lane a little bit. When you're really far, when you're doing something by yourself, you get really far down the rabbit hole sometimes. And like, you have a hard time seeing the forest through the trees, and you're just like frustrated. And then she can come in and be like, why would you make it that complicated? That's stupid. You know, like, you really need to keep this in mind. Like, would your sister make that? She's not going to make that. Yeah. But yeah, so I edit everything. I shoot everything. And honestly, when I'm doing R&D and it's not going well, those make some of the best videos, because I'm able to make it so dense with value because I've made all the mistakes. Like, I'm trying to think of like certain videos where I was like, this recipe is very, very, very well vetted because I screwed it up so many times. And then you can tell people like, you know, like beware, because if you do this, you'll have to start over. Yeah. And I can show you like I had to start over.
And here's my thing.
A good one you did, which we didn't do yet, but your chicken parm video is a good. You come up with this beautiful chicken parm, but then you cut into it and you're like, no, this cheese just won't do. This cheese this cheese pulls all wrong, and you're just kind of like, okay, we're gonna do this over, and we're gonna do, you know, and then it's like that's the great thing with him too is, I'm sure your wife with you, when you live with somebody that's a cook that's doing R&D, you get so many things. You guys are your own worst critics. We all are. It's like this just is not up to par. We're all over there like, oh my God, this is so good. We're like, yeah, this is terrible. Make more bread.
Well, that happened with the apple fritters.
Yes.
Oh, good. You guys went for that one.
He
awesome.
went for that, and the immediate problem that I saw was the apples weren't all the same.
They weren't cut small.
They weren't cut small enough, and they were all different sizes. So when you went to roll it, it was completely uneven, and there wasn't enough dough in between. But when you fry apples, come on, dough. It's not going to be bad.
It was a pile of goodness, is what it was.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try.
That one took quite a few tries as well. And you know what's so funny is that like an apple fritter by design is like a waste product. They just mush it together, and you know, like the good apple fritters are like made the way I showed in the video, where they're like making it special. But in most donut shops, they just like take the scraps or the donuts and like raw apples and just smush them together
and fry that shit. There you go. Yeah, it's a trip to like, also another aspect of this whole thing. For me, I'm doing R&D during the week because I have a night, right, that I got to cook for everybody in the house. And I've cooked the 10 things I know how to do really well a million times. They don't want to ever see that stuff again. So now I need to come up with ideas. And from that thing being on the screen for a week and then pulling it into reality is a lot of fun, man, on our end. You know what I mean?
I mean,
like,
that's incredibly fun for me to hear. Like, again, it's amazing that people are using the recipes in a real way. Like that's super dope. I love that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so.
What do you do with all the food?
Good
That's
question.
$75 worth of mistakes. What do you do?
Never gonna eat ziti again.
Yeah, it's a combination of wasting it and giving as much of it away as I can.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I freeze a lot of stuff too. But like, my wife is gluten free, so like, I can't. With the ziti, especially, like I made 4 pans of ziti, and then I made 5 pans of ziti, which is a lot of food.
That's
I mean,
a lot.
that pan of ziti is like 5 pounds. You know, so I gave my neighbor on one side a whole pan. I gave another one away, and then at a certain point, it's in the fridge for 8 days, and you're just like, okay,
Okay,
I
exactly.
have to move on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So what started the cooking bug for you, man?
It's funny you ask, because it comes down to me to like a singular moment, and I think it's pretty rare that stuff like that happens in life, you know. But I was like, went to college for recording. Went to Columbia College in Chicago to become a recording engineer, and was doing that like professionally for a very brief period of time. I worked at a recording studio, and Chicago just isn't the place to do that. Unfortunately, there isn't a very strong music business there, and I was just didn't have my life figured out at all. I was like 21 and was just really doing what I wanted to do, which was just play music and record music. And there was no real plan to make it into a career, or well, like in a real way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like your mom asks, like, you're really going to college to be a recording engineer? Are you gonna be able to get a job? And you're like, totally.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Stop asking.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
And that didn't really work out, of course. And then, so I was working as a bank teller. I got a, great opportunity to work for this great bank. My aunt got me this job, and it just was like, not for me, like all good for people who work in retail banking like that, but it just was like, not for me. And so I went to a restaurant with the owner of that recording studio that I had previously worked at. He was a close friend, and he took me to this restaurant where his girlfriend was the manager. It's called a Vec. It's in Chicago, and it's this not French. It's really more of like a Basque, like Northern Spanish, Southern French, like Mediterranean style wine bar. And just the least, it was so cool. It's a shotgun restaurant, maybe 65 seats. And at the time, like, I didn't know anything about food at all. I was like 21, and my favorite thing to eat was like chicken nuggets still, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you go and all of a sudden this is grown-up restaurant. There's these dope European spicy wines. Everyone who works there is like cool and smart. And the guys on the line, like, it was 3 stations in the restaurant. It's like 65 seats, shotgun, and like the guys are cooking in the restaurant on the side. Like the kitchen is the side of the restaurant.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's a wood-fired oven too, like a 2-bay wood fire. Like 2 of the 3 stations are wood-fired oven stations, and they're cooking whole fish and like roasted dates and like all kinds of cool shit. And like, they were just the coolest motherfuckers on earth. I thought like, these guys looked so in control of this chaos. And this is before I knew about Anthony Bourdain or anything like that. And I was just like, oh, like, these guys are like in a band, like that's what it looked like, like they're young guys just doing something hard and fun that requires skill. And it was sick. I was like, dude, I got to do this. So like right away, I found a place that I thought I had a scheme. I was like, okay, I really want to do this. I got to make money. So I went to this Michelin starred restaurant that I knew of that was not too far from my house. At least I could get a bus there from my house. I was living in Chicago at the time. And I went to them and I was like, hey, can I like apply for this busboy job? But also, if I work for you as a busboy for whatever, like, can I also work in your kitchen for free? And they were like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, dummy.
Yeah, totally, dude. You can
offer you free work.
Yeah. But in Chicago, the culinary industry is super competitive. And even just getting work for free in a restaurant, especially one at that level, like at the Michelin star level, is super not guaranteed at all. You're in the way more than anything. So anyways, I showed up busboyed for a couple weeks, and then they were like, okay, cool. You're not a psycho. You can come in the kitchen. I did that for like 6 to 8 months, where I worked 3 days a week as a busboy, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a double on Sunday. And then Tuesday through Thursday, I was in the kitchen. And then I like leveraged that guy's name on my resume to like work at a restaurant that I wanted, like a better restaurant. Like that was less, like that was not, the place I started was like old school, like culture, like lots of very negative, lots of yelling, lots of intimidation. It was like very respected and the food was great, but it was like not a fun place to be. And the chef was like not that nice. And so I moved on to a couple of other restaurants in Chicago, and it's just something that's been like from that point on, and I'm sure it's the same way with you guys with music, like that became my new obsession. Like I was obsessed with music from like the ages of 14 to 21. And I still like am a huge fan of music, but I don't, that part of my brain where I was like creating music turned off and was completely replaced by cooking at that point.
That's
Wow.
fucking dope. That's really cool.
I want to ask, what do you think it is about like the certain personalities, like you were saying, old school and kind of like the yelling? Like we're originally from Vegas. We live in Portland, and for years and years, almost my entire career while I was in Vegas, I worked in hotels, casinos, and in Vegas they've got, you know, 5-star restaurant, all kinds of stuff, you know, and right around the time where, you know, dinner time would start happening, you know, the chefs start coming in, everything. And it was such, it was super exciting. It was great, but it was always like that kind of attitude, that certain kind of like demeanor. What do you think it is about that? Like, you know, if you see a celebrity, I guess you can kind of understand why, you know, they've got all these fans, all this fanfare. What is it about chefs that breed that kind of behavior?
It's good. It's a good question. If I had to guess, like where it stems from a little bit is like running a service in a busy restaurant and having it be consistent and good and well respected is an incredibly difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And so the way that I think most people default to accomplishing that is not developing any kind of culture, but you like running it as a military setup, where like there is an authoritative leader that authoritative leader at the very top where you have to do and say as they do because they're the most experienced theoretically, and the order is created through that lack of flexibility. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think that strokes people's egos too, and then it's kind of like a snowball effect from there. You know, one kind of feeds into the other. I don't know if that's like deep or true, but I think that is like if you trace it back to like 60s, 70s like haute cuisine in France, you know, like there's this very regimented brigade system or brigade or whatever. And, you know, that was the blueprint for a long time. And they were very militaristic or just very, very serious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but it
that's a
definitely
good
changed.
thought.
It definitely changed and is changing a lot. You know, like by the time I left Chicago, it was a little bit, had mellowed out quite a bit. And I had decided like in my career path, like I wasn't interested in working for chefs like that anymore. And at that point you could pick and choose. Like there was enough great restaurants where you could still get a good education as a chef and work for somebody who was like a human.
Yeah.
And then like by the time I got to St. Louis, it had really sort of started to slow down. And then when I was like an actual chef of a restaurant, I was like, this is not something, it doesn't work for me. I've tried it. Like when you're a sous chef and stuff, you try and be like the tough shithead guy. You're like, yeah, do your fucking job. You know what I mean? And it just makes you feel like an asshole. And you know, didn't work for me the few times I tried it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try and develop some culture here to make people like want to work really hard for me. And I think it was pretty successful. Like I really enjoyed that part of being a chef, which was like teaching people how to cook and having them be like stoked on the fact that you give a shit, you know?
That's cool,
Heck
man.
yeah.
Like it's like that in the industry that I work in too, actually. That hazing.
What industry do you work in?
Telecommunications. I work in the cable industry. I'm a fiber design engineer is what I do for my day job. But I worked 17 years in construction and some years out in doing like going to people's houses, fixing their shit. And when I started doing that, it was very militaristic. It was like being in boot camp, going through training for that. And the guys that had tenure, that you know had been there a while, were just assholes. Just straight up, like, you know, I'm working in Vegas in the summer. It's 115, and you know you're hanging cable between telephone poles in the heat, and they're just in their truck drinking ice water, laughing at you, like not helping, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? And
totally.
No,
I mean, I've had almost the exact same experience in a kitchen where like you're going down on prep, service is an hour and a half away, and you've got something on the stove and it's burning, and the guy, like the cook right next to you, is like, pussy, your shit's burning. You know what I mean? Like,
see, fuck
Yeah,
that.
instead of helping.
yeah, like I mean, I'm not saying that's the way it always is, but
No.
like at the time when I first started, it was kind of like the last gasp of that, like at least in Chicago where I was at, it was like the last gasp of that like super competitive, like just really not fun environment. I don't know how I stuck through it, honestly, because I had never had a taste for it.
Yeah.
Well, working in a restaurant.
you cooked.
I quit cooking a long time. I mean, I ruined it for myself at a young age by having to get jobs. And my last job in a kitchen was Chili's, like back in the 90s. You know, working as a line cook, stuff like that. You're just doing the processed food, but we worked together. It was Charlie's Lakeside. Was one of the best jobs I had as a cook because it was kind of a party house. It was all about what the coin drop was for the bar there. It was kind of an upscale at a nice kind of country club community, and, you know, steaks and surf and turf, basically stuff like that, and had a great time. But it working in a kitchen teaches you organization and how like that job did. We learned to work well. You learn to work in a tight kitchen with people and know where everything is, and you learn what hard work is, whether you're front of the house, back of the house, bustle. It's a tough industry.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a tough industry to make it, like you were saying earlier, to make a restaurant work and be successful is extremely difficult.
Totally. Yeah, and you know, like the type of restaurant you're talking about is like can be a very, very great job for a lot of people. It's work that has tons of dignity in it. You work hard, you feel good. Whereas like the Chili's thing, I feel like without having ever worked there, I can just say like, I you know, the level I'm working at in the industry right now, you just see a lot of autonomy being brought in, and like those aren't great jobs because like there's no, you know, the person who's cooking it is really just like a meat robot, you know.
Yes.
Not fun stuff, you know, like they're not cooking steaks, or, you know, it's just you're not using your brain at all. And you know, that's just not, there's not a lot of dignity in that.
There's no love in that food either, man.
I want to ask, this is like a, you know, maybe a hard question to answer, but if you could revolutionize like the fast food industry to bring a little bit more of what you're talking about into it, how would you go about that, being the chef of a restaurant once upon a time?
It's hard because like Americans in particular don't really value food as much as they should. And I don't know, like this conversation can be hard because like there's like some privilege and stuff involved with me being able to say that, like, you know, I don't live in a part of the world where I need to go buy a $2 burger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily.
No.
Well, we're meeting each other where we're at. How about that? You know what I mean?
Sorry, say that again.
I said, we're just meeting each other where we're at. We don't need to worry about that right now.
Yeah. It's like, because to make good food, it's very expensive, even simple food. You know, if I wanted to make you a very good ham and cheese, like it would still take my time and attention to do that. And a lot of training would have to, you know, like I have lots of training to make, and like just any simple food, if it's going to be good, it has to be prepared with care by somebody who knows what they're doing. And that's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, like you want the person who's making your ham and cheese to like earn a living wage and all that stuff.
Right.
And, you know, if I was going to like revolutionize the food industry, I would just say like people need to pay more money for food, ingredients and labor. You know, unfortunately, they're not willing to. And I don't want to go out to spend 10% of my income on a meal, you know. But the restaurants and I think in Portland, there's probably a bunch of restaurants like this where they're real people, skilled crafts people, let's say. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but like trained professionals who know how to cook, who know how to source ingredients and cook them properly for you, for your dinner. It's probably going to cost you 10 times what it would to go get Subway or whatever, you know? And those guys are making 40 grand a year. You know what I mean? It's not like they're just getting paid.
Yeah.
So the economy of the food industry is not super great, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I knew it was going to be a hard question, but I just kind of, you know, on the heels of just thinking about that, because you're right. Like in a line cook or people that are getting jobs, not 100%, but you're getting a job at a fast food restaurant because you need to, you know, a lot of the time. There's definitely some people that are passionate, and in there we can't, you know, blanket term that, but we also think about like the bigger picture, you know, like even if you're feeding bad food, if you're giving it with a good intention, maybe even that raises the vibration of the food.
Yeah.
You know what
There's
I mean?
been a few people on the West Coast who have tried and are trying, like Roy Choi. Is it Roy Choi? He's Locol is the name of the LOCOL with this guy Daniel Patterson. They're like chefs in LA. They're trying to do like a Oakland and some more like down and out neighborhood fast food style restaurant of like thoughtful food and paying people well and creating a good culture.
That's right.
And I don't know if they've been successful or not. I think it's really tricky because at the end of the day, people want a $2 hamburger.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's a really complicated one. It's a great conversation to have though.
Yeah.
I'm not like smart enough to have it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely smart enough to have it. Maybe
Definitely.
you need some help to revolutionize it, but you're definitely in there.
I want to go back to something that you said. Like, there's a music show, and you went to school for recording, and you were playing music. Like, what music? What's the deal, man? What were you into?
Well, like in high school, you want to be cool, so you get a guitar and actually, I like the first instrument I got was a synthesizer because I was really into that. I was really into like all types of electronic music, but also like bad teenage like emo rock music as well.
Okay.
But then you get bit by the bug, so you get into everything. By the time I went to college, I was just a fan of it all, from 60s rock, folk, all jazz. I like it all. I just like going to buy records and listening to them and like the stories behind the musicians. As I'm sure you guys are very well aware of, like that's part of the fun. And then like I was never a super technically proficient musician, but the production of music and like the being able to build, like building a dish of flavors is like that being able to understand why these two textures in a song work together. And like that was always just something I was addicted to. And like that's why I like so many different types of music, is that it's all just different styles of cuisine is like just fun.
Mm-hmm.
In college, I was like, the music I was making with my roommate friend was like it was a little all over the place. It was kind of singer-songwriter. He was a singer-songwriter, and I would be the guy who could help bring it together a little bit on like the recording front and like add some instrumental flourishes here or there. He was way more talented than me, but he was also super this is like the anti-Grateful Dead. Well, no, not in a way. I was gonna say he's like super. I gotta stop playing with that. He was like super into Steely Dan.
No, that's not
loves-
well, it kind of is the
yeah.
anti-Grateful Dead, but not.
That's one of my favorites. It
Yes.
comes up a lot with musicians. You
When
wouldn't
he's
believe how
cooking.
many people are influenced. That's my go-to cooking. Yeah, I throw on Steely Dan.
Oh, dude, especially like the early stuff. My God. It's just
It's
fun
such
music.
a groove for cooking. Like,
Yeah.
Funny.
But at the same time, like it's I think that if like the Grateful Dead and Steely Dan hung out, there would definitely be a fight. or if like their fan bases hung out. I'm not saying a fight, but it'd be like
there's some beef.
yeah, but there's so much that's in common between those two, because they're so like both technically proficient,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of jamming on both. They're just different types of jamming. Like Steely Dan would call it like, just because there's a New York studio musician playing the sax solo doesn't mean that it's like also not a jam session.
Right. Yeah.
So
we were at where were we? We were at a show in Vegas when we lived there, and the guy behind me, it was like a not Grateful Dead cover band, but like a iteration of the Grateful Dead after Garcia passed away. Like I think it was Further or Rat Dog or something. And the guy behind us was a chef, actually. And the whole show was just going, I'd so much rather be at a Steely Dan concert. Have you guys ever seen Steely Dan? Like, do you remember this guy?
No, I
You guys don't remember?
No.
The whole
that's amazing.
yeah, so exactly illustrates your point. Like, yes. And
Yeah.
I never
But
thought of what you said, man. Like the fact that cooking and music are similar.
I make that connection just from my experience. Like, but yeah, I think they really are. There's a palette of ingredients or instruments or textures you get to play with. And, I won't take the analogy too much further than that, but I mean, in my mind, they're very, very similar. Like I think about the styles of food and the styles of music in very similar ways.
Wow. I
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
like, I just like, I'm a fan of it all, like I think anybody who is a creative or is in the pursuit of trying to make something, you just like, you understand, like from that perspective, you understand how hard it is to make something good. And all of a sudden you're like, in shock, you're in awe of something you would have never opened yourself up to before. Like the types of videos I watch on YouTube are not for me, but I'm like, Mr. Beast is a great example. Like those videos, are you guys familiar with Mr. Beast?
No.
Okay, so he has like 50 million subscribers. He's one of the biggest YouTubers. His videos all get, if you look, it's like 100 million, 50 million, 60 million.
That's a country.
And the videos are totally ridiculous. It's like he like gives away money to people. They're like competition videos. Check them out. It's an anomaly. You're like,
Did you write that
I could
down?
go on and on about Mr. Beast. I have some really interesting thoughts, interesting thoughts about it. But the content isn't for me. I'm like a 33-year-old guy who is serious about food. But they're like, these are made for like 18-year-old boys, basically.
Okay.
And he's like, I'll give away this Corvette if you don't take your hand off of it for 24 hours, that kind of thing, you know? But I appreciate the craft of what he's doing at holding people's attention. Like they're incredibly well thought out videos. And I'm really inspired by just how into it he is, you know, like just like acid jazz or something is like not my favorite genre, but I get why people dig on it, or like really, really niche electronic stuff. Like, is it the most pleasant to listen to in the world? No, but do I get what people like about it? And am I inspired by that as well? Like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Have you always been like that, or is that something that came with age? Because I know for myself, I was not open-minded like that. If it didn't fit in my lane or my box for a very long time, I was like, fuck, that's bullshit. And and now getting older, I feel much the same way that you do about things after starting the podcast, and like you said, realizing how hard all of this is. But
I don't know what, I mean, I think that it comes with age for sure. You know, when you're 20, you're like, the music I like is good music, and everything else is stupid, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and like when you're in high school, it's especially that way. It's like, all right, well, I've got a list of about 150 bands right here that know what's going on, and everybody else who's ever made music ever is a shithead and they don't know what they're doing, you know? You know, and it's funny how like year over year a band falls off. They're like, oh yeah, no, fuck them, they suck. And then a new one comes on. Like, all of a sudden, like the Talking Heads have it figured out. Okay, cool. And I don't know. You just like, I think that being a creative part really, like, at least from in my experience, makes like it opens up the whole world, and you're just like, oh, cool. Like anyone who tries legitimately, I think I'm interested, you know?
Yeah. And I wonder too, like at the beginning of our conversation, you know, I brought up the difficulty of the pandemic, and that's like so cliche at this point and stage in the game. But for you, man, do you feel like maybe it was a blessing that this happened?
Yeah, I've had this conversation a few times, and I do. You know, it's like hard to say that because there's a bunch of people who have had a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I would have never taken this step, and I'm really, really grateful that I did, because it leverages like a certain drive that I have and a certain set of skills that I have together to do something that I find really compelling, and like try and reach for some like bigger life goal type stuff. And it's just like, I'm the type of person who has to have a challenge, and YouTube is like an incredibly difficult thing to solve. So yeah, for real, I feel really, really lucky though that I got what I did out of it.
Yeah.
One of my clients said she was leaving the other day, and her and Aaron were talking, and she just says, I love COVID. COVID has been so great.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
It has
It's a funny
brought
way to put it.
Yeah. Well, when you just hear that word, you're like, what? You
What
love
is wrong with
COVID?
you?
What the
What's
hell's,
wrong with you?
yeah. People have died. Life has stopped. But then she was like, think about all the families that have reacquainted themselves with each other. Think about all the meals cooked at home that weren't being cooked before. Think about all the parents that have gotten to help their children with their homework that never saw them because they were out at their work too. And like, you know, all we have is our own perspective at the end of the day.
I was just going to say that.
And that's what I realized, like, as far as like meeting people where they're at, when we're asking you questions, we get it. It's your life. That's what we want to know about your life. Like, there's other people that are having a hard time it's been hard for everybody in, you know, an assortment of ways, but our perspective is so important to keep up because when someone asks you about it and you have this fantastic perspective, it really can shed some light on something that you weren't seeing yourself. So her whole I love COVID speech, once she kind of aired out what it was that she was appreciative of, it was like, wow, I never thought about it.
Because I was ready to throat punch it.
I never thought that before. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
was.
it's honestly though, like the world would have never had this hard reset. And there's certain things that are going to change permanently that I think are great. Like people are going to be able to work from home. Like that's going to be a permanent thing. And, you know, barring some long-term financial consequences, I think, and who knows how that'll play out. Maybe everything will be totally fine. I really hope that's the case. I'm not like an alarmist or anything, but the main thing is that like the world would have never ever like collectively changed that much that fast.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And for, you know, for me, the pandemic has like eliminated options of what I could be doing. So it like provides me with that much more focus to do this stuff, because making these videos is a ton of work. And that's not a complaint. It's just a fact of like, I have to work 40 hours a week to make one good video, you know?
Wow.
And if I could like go hang out with friends or be, you know, just in general out in the world way more, that I don't know that I would have developed the routine to be able to do it. Because it's like a long process of building up the skills to just, like if I didn't have no work at the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And then if I didn't have less work when I went back to work, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's like this ramping up process to get where I'm at now, like running full speed, you know?
So when things open up again, are you in a position to be able to manage what it takes to keep it going?
Yeah, I think so. My job is pretty steady state right now. Like it's pretty much back to normal, which is good. There's busy weeks where it's like makes it real hard. And like, I think anybody who is doing YouTube and a full-time job will attest that like, there's just certain days where you're like, how bad do I want this? You know? I want it really bad. So keep doing it. And my wife is like incredibly supportive. You know, like if I've had a really, really long day, but I still have to like shoot for 5 hours after that long day, she's like there for the whole time.
Aww.
You know, like she's not necessarily like helping me move the camera around and stuff, but she's like, do you need me to make dinner? Do you need me to, she'll do like all the dishes from the shoot, help me set it up, break it down, that kind of thing.
That's a lot.
You know, when I'm going to take a shower at 11:30 on a Wednesday night, just exhausted, she's down in the kitchen doing all the dishes and making sure that like everything we need for the day is set up. The next video is going to publish on time, like all that stuff. Like without that support, it definitely wouldn't be possible.
That makes my heart smile. What's your wife's name?
Her name's Lauren.
Lauren, shout out Lauren, because I know she's going to listen to this.
Yeah, shout out Lauren.
Right you're on. Cool. To have a partner like that, it's invaluable. I mean, how long have you been married?
We've been married for X number of years, 4 years, I think. We've been together for like 13 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We got married maybe 4 years ago.
So she was there before your cooking career.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
She's seen the metamorphosis.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys, I mean, anybody can attest, just having a strong relationship in your life like that is incredible. Makes so much more stuff possible. And like going back to the pandemic, I just feel like some of the people I empathize with the most, or feel like, you know, I guess empathy is the right word. Like if you didn't have somebody in your life that you could coexist with in a way like I have, you know, it would have been a really, really hard year. Like what if you had a shitty roommate or you were alone? You know, I think we all know people who were like maybe in their early 20s and they hadn't settled down, or it doesn't matter what your age is. If you don't have a partner or like a close family member, or you don't live with great friends, like it's gonna be a really lonely last year.
It's been hard. I've seen, I'm an essential worker and I work at a grocery store, and the sadness is we open up, we have like a senior hour, and seeing like a lot of the seniors who have lost their husbands or wives or partners, and they have to come in. Like who else is going to get their stuff, because everybody's social distancing and has to quarantine. And so you're seeing these people, it's the saddest thing in the world. Like that's really like the sadness of the pandemic that I've seen the most, is people that are lonely, that can't have people reach out because of that.
But that's the awesome thing about creating content right now, is that even...
What is a city without its music? The legacy of the New York Philharmonic is incredible.
Nearly 2 centuries of history. That's a lot of music and a lot of stories.
I was sitting on stage for the very first time thinking, I can't quite believe this is happening.
Join me, Jamie Bernstein, as we explore the history of the New York Philharmonic. It's the NY Phil story made in New York, a podcast about a city, its people, and their orchestra. Listen wherever you get podcasts.
Being able to sit down and listen to a conversation or watch somebody make some ziti where all the noodles go in the same fucking direction, which you're nuts. And,
I haven't seen that one. I'm kind of excited.
Like that, and I'm going to do that, by the way. That really is special for people right now, man.
Yeah.
Like
it makes you feel like you're with somebody.
And all the hard work that you're talking about, like, it makes that hard work so much, even it was already worth it, but it makes it so much more worth it to know that, like, in this time where people are feeling that disconnect and that struggle of loneliness, that, like, if in some way I can give back a little bit to that, okay, I'm staying up late to edit. Fuck it. Like,
yeah, I mean, absolutely. For me, my sister, she makes every video or every recipe. She watches every video. She's been like incredibly supportive. Her and her husband both, like, I mean, they're benefiting from eating tons of pizza and stuff, but they're putting in the work. They're doing every single recipe. And she's kind of like the avatar of like who I would consider as like the ideal, you know, who's just a regular cook. Like you guys really enjoy the process of cooking. You're willing to put in a little bit of extra work because you know that like the end result and the experience you're going to have doing it and eating it with the people that you care about is going to be worth it. You know, like just thinking about her, because I've kind of lived the channel through her and how I know she's legitimately stoked when a new video comes out. And, you know, it definitely, like you said, gives the fuel to like sort of push a little bit. And I, you know, like for me, just to know that X number of people out there are looking forward to the content just in general, whether they're going to make it or not. That's also a huge driver. You know, because like, just, I don't know, on a like a personal level, you're just like, okay, like if they're stoked on it, it must be real. It must be something worth doing.
Dude, we've had that moment. We've like, yeah, we've had that. Like people writing in saying, I listened to such and such episode and I had to pull my car over to the side of the road. I was crying. I realized I've been, you know, haven't been doing what I needed to do. Or, you know, like I've listened to you guys every day for the past year and you've been with me through a divorce and my kids moving out and just
like, wow,
that kind of stuff. Like, what? We're just here. But at the same time, I get it because I'm a consumer of content as well. And I have those shows where I connect too. Like I wouldn't be doing this without I don't know if you know who he is, Duncan Trussell.
Yeah.
Without the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, I don't know if I would be doing this. So
really, so he was like the creator that inspired you to maybe give it a try.
Listening to him made me say, I'm crazy too. And this guy is like narrating the voice in my head. And if he can do this, I think I can do it.
That's awesome.
Man.
Yeah. That's really cool.
I gotta. You never know who you're gonna. I just chuckled a second ago when he was telling that because you never know who you're gonna reach and who's watching your stuff. Earlier this morning, we went to go pick up a couple sandwiches, a little restaurant up here, and here 2 grown ass men, you know, around 50 years old, and we're sitting in the car waiting for 10 minutes for the food to be ready, and we're watching your cinnamon roll video. just both like Aaron's holding the phone, and I'm leaning over, and we're both just like, oh shit. Oh, dude, look at that. And I just like at one point, there's a lot of people waiting we were going to go eat there, but it was packed. So we ordered to go. But all those people up there, I kind of wonder, like, if they're looking over, they just see these 2 dudes looking, like, they probably thought we were watching something nasty because we're just like, ooh, damn, look at that. Yeah, put it. But now he's like, when it ended, he goes, you know, I'm going to have to make these soon, right?
You understand I'm going to have to make these.
It's going to be a problem for me if I don't try this recipe soon.
There's definitely a point where you're like, oh my God, I'm playing with live ammo here. When like you post a video and then like within 5 hours, there's like 10 people on Instagram who've already mixed the dough. And you're like,
oh shit.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, I gotta say. But also at the same time, like growing like the channel has. Like that audience grew 10 times in 3 weeks. So, and hopefully that continues to happen. But at the same time, like your perspective shifts just a little bit and is like, oh my God, like before it was like, okay, everyone I know, and then like one or two people they know. And now it's like way more than that. It's like a football stadium full of people watching the videos, That just gives a little bit more gravity. You want to make sure that it's like good and vetted, and like you're not recommending something to someone that would like totally waste their day, or like worse, like burn down their house.
Dude,
you can't be held responsible for that.
We've actually said that to each other, not the burning down their house thing, but like I told them early on, like, I don't know, I think we had like 1,500 downloads in a day or something like that. And I was like, imagine 1,500 people standing in our driveway right now listening to us talk.
I know, it's so super crazy. Honestly, it's something that like is like probably shouldn't be thought about too much.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
It's very hard to think of. And I am very analytical. I think about stuff like that. Yes, going to the very beginning of the conversation where you're saying like, I'm not natural in front of the camera. I'm the opposite of natural in front of the camera. Like I'm so unnatural. And I'm very internal, so I forget about outside, I forget about the watching, and I like to watch also, but when I'm being watched, I can't stand it. So this has been a huge learning curve for me and a huge growth process that I'm still going through. And you're right. We shouldn't think about those kinds of things too often. Like maybe the responsibility a little bit, like what you're putting out there so that you can be, have a good heart and make sure that, you're not putting any out there that is going to be hurtful. But at the same time, I think maybe it's just keep going, just like if you're climbing up a mountain, you don't look back every 2 seconds. You just keep going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you guys, being close to 200 episodes, you totally get it. Like over time, if you keep putting in the work and you keep trying to refine your process and bring more value to people, it'll be successful. In the world we live in right now, at least, even though I'm sure when you started this podcast, you were like, oh my God, podcasts are already so saturated. There's like podcasts. Everyone's got a podcast. Even like 3 years ago, everybody had a podcast.
They said it's the new business card.
Yeah. And it's like, seriously. And, but that being said, like there's, I listen to 6 space podcasts, you guys, you know what I mean? Like there's plenty of room in my life for 20 minutes of space podcast here and there, right. And they're all different. Like it would be crazy if I pontificated on how they all hit a different niche. And it's like, there's just plenty of room for good conversations and like valuable content. And it's really, really dope that, all of us normal people as content creators can get in the game,
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head is like, once you just like, I didn't start this to be anything. When I started doing this, I didn't have a plan of like, okay, we're going to do a podcast and we're going to continue doing it. We're going to have musicians come on. It was just like, I don't know, it's a podcast. I'm just going to try it, see what happens. And over time it's become refined and we've gotten better at it, and there's a flow,
and it kind of takes on a life of itself.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. And now, I heard Joe Rogan say a while back. Somebody was commenting on the power of the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was like, "Dude, at this point, I just show up. Like this thing has a mind of its own. It does things on its own, basically."
Yeah,
and I didn't quite get it at the time. And obviously where we're at and where he's at is vastly different. But like, I do understand what he means. Like you've put the time into something and that it's a perpetual motion machine. If you're putting your creativity, will, intention, and love into something, after a while, it starts to come to life. And you've seen it with your channel in 3 weeks. Like that's perfect analogy of springtime and like a million other crazy fucking things, but it really is the harvest of your time, talent, creativity, and energy. And
well, think about this too. If you're a creator, content or otherwise, you're a parent.
Oh shit, yeah.
You're a parent of something, and when a baby is 6 months, it doesn't care about a bike. It doesn't need money for lunch. You're taking care of it. And then as it
just needs
grows,
your time and attention and a lot of
right?
it.
Yeah.
As it grows, it needs more things. It has friends. Friends call. That has nothing to do with you. However, you were the one who created this. And so that's how I see what's happening. I was very kind of like on the wings and kind of sitting back when this podcast first started. It was kind of Aaron's thing and Apple's thing because it was about the dead and they were kind of into that. And I was like, okay, great. I'm just here like as a sidekick. And then, you know, people start saying, well, yeah, I like what Mel's saying. Well, hey, you know, that's like the mom. And hey, like, and it started to blow me away. And it really changed my perspective of what we are actually caretakers of. It's a being. We've created.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good metaphor, honestly. Like at first, there's really not a lot of like when, you know, I won't continue the metaphor because I'll probably ruin it. But at first, you're right. It's just a ton of time and attention. And eventually, you know, that effort compounds into something that's real. And that you take a step back after a year and you're like, oh, damn, like that's crazy. 71 videos or, you know, 200 episodes of a podcast. Like that's not nothing.
Mm-mm.
You showed up every week. The thing that really compels me about podcasts in general, though, is that like I think it enriches, of course, the people who consume that content, they're enriched by it. They show up, they tune in. But like, I always think about Joe Rogan. I'm like, God, this guy gets to have so many great conversations with exceptional people every single day. And it's like, he is so much smarter than he would have been if he didn't do this.
Dude,
you know,
you just, I said
So true.
I said to these guys not long ago, I said at this stage of the game, I want only people that are smarter than me on the show. I do not want to be the smartest person in the room ever at this point. Like I want.
So we have a huge pool to pull from.
Yeah.
No.
The whole planet.
Dude,
a couple dozen.
anybody
Yes,
can know something that we don't.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always think about that too.
Yeah,
like
everybody's got something to share and teach.
And
and
Go
these
ahead, Brian.
podcasts, like, you know, you can really test the waters of the, you know, the types of people you can bring on. Like, you know, Joe Rogan has everybody on. I hate to keep using him as an example, but you know, he has astrophysicists on, he has MMA fighters on, you know, and pop culture people, Elon Musk, like there's something to learn from all of them. And he's kind of like the mirror that you know, or at least he's like the common sounding board throughout the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yep.
I don't think that he would mind us keep bringing him up because he's done something so unique, so it's comfortable. It's comfortable to listen to Joe Rogan somehow. Like you can just put him on.
It's familiar.
Yeah, it's familiar. And like you said, from an astrophysicist to an MMA fighter, that's vastly different. But somehow or another, he stays the same in that, but brings out all these amazing things that you never would have known.
Yeah. And the thing that I think is interesting is that, like, unfortunately, I think his show has been viewed as controversial at times because of the guests he brings on, but there's no other place that I'm aware of that is as popular as his show, where there's as much discourse going on at the level that it is going on too. Like, and I think that really, I think he would brush that off and he'd be like, whatever, it's, you know, it's just a podcast. But, you know, like he has very polarizing figures from both sides on his show, and they come in and argue their points. He has anarchists on and he has Ben Shapiro on, and I'm down to listen to it all. Like I would have never listened to what Ben Shapiro had to say unless he was on Joe Rogan, you know? And now, like, I understand something about this conservative religious person that I never would have before. And that's like really dope. Like for me, like in this divisive time where social media is like weaponized almost.
Yes.
Like having content like that is like the antidote. I think people, and so many people watch it. People who don't give a shit about politics are going to listen to the Jordan Peterson episode or whatever and just be like turned on to some ideas that, whether they're perfectly thought out ideas or not, like they're different than just what's on New York Times or whatever, you know?
That's the beauty of discourse right there, is what you're talking about. And even if you don't agree, I've been saying this a lot lately, even if you don't agree, being able to have a conversation with somebody and like come away with some kind of understanding that you didn't have before is a skill that like we need to cultivate as human beings on this planet again. And the thing that you just said about weaponized social media, man, I could get us canceled on that one. So I'm just gonna shut up.
So let me change. Oh wait, no, go ahead. If you're
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, well, since we were going down that road, yeah, because we got to be careful what we say
up.
nowadays. So I want to ask you, because this is something that Aaron's going to do soon, because he's the bread guy, dough guy. And I'll phrase it this way, not what is your favorite. What is your favorite pizza right now?
Okay. I always come back to the thin crust, like the bar style, like cut into square style pizza. Because you can make that dough in like 3 hours. And usually, because I'm working on other videos, I don't really have the time to like sit down on a Thursday and mix dough for Sunday or whatever. So that one I like a lot. And what I like about it is that since Lauren's gluten-free, when you make gluten-free pizza, it's pretty much like a cracker, at best. Like you're not going to be able to make it like a regular pizza. So you're making like a shingle that you can, and then America's Test Kitchen has a pretty good gluten-free recipe for dough. And that's what I've been using. But we've been messing around with something kind of interesting and fun that I might do a video on in the future. But yeah, you can build like that style of pizza for her gluten-free. Like I would build it the same way as I would build like the thin crust pizza. So I don't have to because when it comes to pizza, as you guys have seen a lot of these videos, like the type of cheese you use, how much, the type of sauce you make for the pizza, like all that matters and is dictated by like what the dough is about, So yeah, I think the thin crust. I mean, what do you guys do? If you guys,
I want him to make. Well, and he said too, the first one is because I just never had the Detroit one.
Yeah.
And Aaron was like, "Oh, dude, that's a chore." He's all, "But I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it." But no, I think for me, there's some. I don't know if it was tartine bread or saltwater flour yeast. I don't remember which book, but he has a overnight dough recipe.
The forkish one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's like a tool. I consider that one like a tool. I use that for a lot of different things.
Right. So I've made
you
that
made
dough a couple of times now,
amazing.
and that is my absolute favorite. Like New York style, a little thicker. I like a big piece of crust on the back and a
nice bubble on the crust.
And I'm simple, man. Like I want cheese and sauce. I don't fucking fancy it up. I want to taste pizza. I don't.
Sure.
Yeah. So
the New York style is definitely like what I think I even say in the video. It's like it is basically a cheese pizza, in my opinion. Like if you're gonna put sausage or pepperoni on a pizza like that, it's gonna be pretty minimal. It's like if you get the cheese pizza part right, you're there, dude. I love that style of pizza so much, and I just got a baking steel, like a pizza steel. So I'm really excited to mess around with that because the stone I was using was like it would work really well for one pizza, but like it would. Most of the heat would be just discharged out of it like after the first one. So I'd have to like refire my oven for a little while. And that's just not like a pizza party environment where you have to like wait for the next pizza to cook. So yeah, the pizza steel is going to be, I think, a new level. And I'll probably make a video on that, I think.
Awesome.
I wonder, okay, going to the gluten-free.
Yeah, Mel's ears perked up.
Well, because it's, first of all, it's so hard to be gluten-free. It's so hard. And then when you finally do have things that are gluten-free, you have to get used to the texture or the taste or whatever. What's some secrets that you can throw out to the gluten-free people out there? Just random, whatever's in your head.
Yeah. Well, first off, I would say like play to the strengths of gluten-free, which is like there's tons and tons of good foods out there that don't require gluten, most foods. Like I think that like in the West, it's like we're so carb heavy here that it's like hard to remember that there's like tons of great things you could make that don't require any flour at all. But that being said, like to get into like actual gluten-free baking or cooking, another like I would say play to the strengths again. So like when I'm saying like making this thin crust pizza, like that style of pizza is not about like gluten development or like a perfectly formed thing. Like a bar style like cracker pizza is like a shingle to put a bunch of toppings on, and it's a delicious, super fun pizza. Yeah. So that can be totally achieved with gluten-free because you're not having to like stretch out the dough and like throw it up in the air and like have like a perfect crust and stuff. And like when it comes to pasta, you really got to vet the product. Like if you find something that you like and works for you, stock up on it because that's like there's been billions spent on pasta that should just be thrown out. Like all the rice pastas out there, like brown rice quinoa pasta, like so rough. It's not even close. Like why. I mean, I see people making pasta salad with that stuff, and like, oh, it just looks so gross. But like, so when it comes to gluten-free pasta, like there's a couple of Italian brands that are, like they've just crossed my path. I haven't like got out of my way to find them or whatever. One is called Bio Nature. They're from Italy. And then I can't think of the other one, but anyways, if you find something you like,
okay,
buy a bunch of it. It should have like at least 3 starches in it, like rice, potato, corn. If it's those 3, it usually eats like a regular pasta. And then like extruded pastas like ziti or fusilli, non-noodly pastas, those are fine. Like for the most part, they, that like that type of pasta is not about gluten development. In fact, like, if you were to see how that stuff is made, it's just like dry semolina flour in a hopper. You add a little bit of water to, and it just gets like shot out a die in the front and they cut it. Like there's no gluten development at all. All you're doing is basically just like compressing starch. So you could definitely, I would say if you can't find something great noodly, those brown rice, quinoa pastas, whatever, like if it's like a penne or something, you should be pretty fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a extra added level of difficulty added to the video game of baking for me, is like learning gluten development and dough strength and all the stuff that I didn't know jack shit about a year ago. Now I do. And then Mel's like, but I'm gluten-free and you should be trying to make gluten-free stuff.
Well, he's like making all this bomb shit. And I'm like, well, I can't taste it. Like, good for you and Apple. Like, knock yourselves out, but I can't,
So Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 flour has been my best friend ever since then. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the King Arthur stuff. The Bob's Red Mill, I think they put garbanzo bean flour in it for some reason, and that's always turned me off a little bit.
Okay.
I like the cup for cup King Arthur stuff, I think. Okay. But so if you want to try out a fun gluten-free recipe, one of the first ones I did on the channel, I'm not saying it's a good video, but the recipe is very solid. It's for gnocchi.
Oh,
and actually the gnocchi I made in the video are gluten-free.
Okay.
I used, like in that context, it can be 1-to-1 switched out. So I used gluten-free King Arthur flour for that one instead of all-purpose flour. And I mean, like I made that last weekend, and you guys should try that out. Like it's called Parisian style gnocchi. It's really easy to make, and it's incredibly sick, super dope. And then so we bought this flour from a brand called Caputo. They're like a really well respected Italian pizza flour brand. They make 00 flour, and they made this deglutenized wheat starch flour for pizzas that we tried out like a couple of times over the last few weeks, and it's like really, really mystical. Like what it does. Wow. I can't even believe it. It's like, I mean, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It's really weird. It's super close to like real flour, real pizza flour. And the product is like a full order of magnitude better than anything I've ever eaten. So I'm going to keep messing around with that, and hopefully we can do a pizza video, but with that, because you can get it on Amazon. It's not like you have to go to some crazy corner of the world to buy it or whatever. Yeah. So
okay, I'm in.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that a lot.
Brian, I know that you weren't feeling good today, and I really, really, really appreciate you spending time with us, man.
This was a blast. We could
keep going all night.
We do this all the time. It's like, it's so good to talk to other people.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like outside of your home and stuff like that. Yeah. And also like interesting and positive and like, I learned a lot just by listening to you today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for many things, but just for working your craft, man, honestly.
Yeah, like I was going to say, like what we'll go around and say, thank you very much for encouraging this guy to cook, encouraging me to cook again, some other things I haven't in a while. And plus, I just got to throw this out there because we're all of us that do this kind of stuff. I hate my voice when I hear it. I love your voice, dude. From the moment Aaron started listening, I heard the voice. Like, who are you listening to? He's got a good voice for whatever's happening. You have a wonderful, engaging voice, personality, and everything you do. And I really admire
when this
that.
Comes out, I'll hear it and I'll be like, "Oh, dude."
Yeah. It's hard to hear yourself and love it.
It took me a long time to be able to sit and listen to an episode without being like, "Oh God."
It's hard for me to watch my own videos. If it's like the video I just made, I'm very stoked on it. But if it's like 2 weeks old, I'll never watch it again.
No shit.
I love that.
Yeah. Piggybacking on what they said, man. I already said it, but thanks, Brian, for everything, man. And
I hope our paths cross.
I was just gonna say,
yeah, let's stay in touch. This was awesome.
That's what I was just gonna say. I'm gonna email you my cell number, so we should stay in touch when you come out to Portland. We'll have you over to the house or something and cook dinner.
That'd be awesome. Let's do that. I had a great time. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, brother. Take care,
feel
man.
better,
Have a
man.
wonderful
Thank
night.
you so
Thanks
much.
a lot. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
How do you shut this thing off?
Dang, that was so unexpectedly fantastic.
Right? Check this out. So today, when Apple and I went to go get food, we watched that cinnamon roll video, and I was like, I hope he's a music fan. I really, really hope he's a music fan, because there's a certain.
Well, not just a music fan. You're like, I hope he's a jam fan because he drops little.
There's a certain
the way he cooks and the things he says.
Right. There's some I can't put my finger on. I couldn't explain it to somebody else, but it's just like, oh, that's one of us, kind of a thing. And then there it is. So that was super fucking dope.
I love all his different interests, and it really. If I was his mom, I'd be really proud.
Oh, that's sweet.
I honestly, I'd be like, look at my mensch over here, he's so handsome, and he's so smart, and he's cooking, and
did you bring me some more bread?
Yeah, he just seems like a super stand-up guy and honest, and I mean, he wasn't feeling good, and he put on his cute little chef outfit to see us on Zoom, and just I appreciate that a lot. A lot.
And that's like, after meeting him, Brian is somebody that's down for his shit. Like, that guy's going to be up at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
If he needs to be.
He's not scared to work.
He's showing up.
Making his content
it's
great, like he
for
said.
Brian.
And he's got a great partner, Lauren. I mean, Lauren, shout out to you again for, helping your man, helping your partner in life. And I'm sure you have other wonderful things going on, but there's nothing like a great collaboration. There's nothing like it.
And there's nothing to me that shines like somebody like Brian, because we brought it up in there, like all these touted chefs of the world, Gordon Ramsay's and all these, they're angry people. It seems like half the time.
That was like Gordon Ramsay's thing. As being a jerk.
It's like screaming at people, and that's why he's such a hit with Hell's Kitchen and all that and stuff.
I mean,
I want to see somebody that comes at like Brian. He comes at it from the beginning with like humor and love and life, and just enjoys it.
It's kind of cool that he said that it's kind of like passing that, that part is kind of like leaving the scene, the cooking scene, that being harsh kind of a way, because there's food is love.
Well, I love how he goes, I tried that one time. I had a position and I tried to be an asshole, but it didn't work for me. You do that. No.
Oh shit, we did an hour and a half with him.
Yeah.
And we could have still kept going. He was happy to go.
I know. I just knew he wasn't feeling good, and
well, this was well, I think it made him feel good because he kind of pepped up during this and stuff, got the adrenaline going, probably having fun, and so this was fun having a cooking.
What a trip!
Our first cooking show one.
When I reached out to him to be on the show, I was like, "Is this okay?" To myself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, am I allowed to do this?
Do people like food?
And then,
that's what
I was like, wait a minute. No Simple Road is our show, so I could put whoever I want.
We could interview Fred over there.
Yeah, and who doesn't like food?
And he actually said something in there that made me like, oh, okay. What he was saying about Rogan and having everybody on. I mean, why the fuck not? What do we got to lose? And I think it's only like adding value and interest and good conversation to the people that listen to our show, the No Simple Road family.
Preaching to the choir, babe.
Yeah.
All right, I'll shut up.
I've always been open to whatever, down for whatever.
Well, we have branched out lately.
We have. I'm super.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, I said this 2020 and and 2021, it's my most proudest work. Even though we've done bomb-ass shit prior to that, this is my most proud work because I feel like I'm more part of the show because what we're doing, I'm into equally. Where before, a lot of the musicians that we had, it has nothing to do with whether they're good or not. I just wasn't into them. So it's hard for me to get excited about that.
On another note, you are also more into the music than you used to.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We started out where, I mean, I know you remember because we've been married for a long time, but
what?
Before
necessarily means he remembers.
Before 2014, we did not go to concerts.
Right.
It didn't happen. We didn't like if I went to a concert, I'd go with a friend because I'm going to like an R&B.
We went to see.
Let's hear it.
He's gonna pull one out. We went and saw that
one time.
No, we did. We went and saw the Blue Man Group.
That is not a concert.
Kidding. I'm joking.
We saw Cirque du Soleil.
Incubus.
Okay,
We went
that
and saw
counts.
Incubus.
Gypsy Kings.
We went and saw Gypsy Kings. So
that wasn't okay.
But it was
Let me reframe the question.
It was not an important part of our life.
Being parents, working, that was a priority. Going to concerts was never a priority, nor was it such a part of our life that we couldn't live without it.
Yep.
And so once we created something that required us to have music in our life, absolutely, I kind of, changed it up, and it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me right now, and I can't wait to really shake it loose. And
oh my God,
I'm so excited about it. But yeah, it took me a while.
I know. And I'm stoked you're on the bus.
I'm stoked you're on the bus.
Bus, magic bus.
That was the name of our bus.
Sick of you guys being on the bus. You're taking up too much room.
Look, I don't take up a lot of room, all right?
Mel doesn't. And I
This
drive.
is a short bus. There's not a lot of room. Put your helmets on, kids.
All right.
Buckle up. It's going to get rough.
Here we go.
Oh.
It's going to get rough.
All right. And then this is our cooking time, and I got to go start cooking dinner.
Go cook dinner,
All right.
Apple.
Because it's going to take
What do you
a
make?
while.
Wait, what are you making tonight?
I'm making chicken and vegetables.
But what? Come on, man.
Fancy it up.
Two beautiful organic whole chickens that I got to go clean and get ready. I'm going to lather those with butter and herbs and spices.
From our garden?
From our garden, and fill the cavity with rosemary from our rosemary, lemon, garlic. I don't think we have any white wine. I forgot to get that. But chicken and vegetables. Throw those on standing up so they get all nice and crispy all around with potatoes, carrots, celery, onion, and all that in the pan to soak up the juices and get delicious.
Thank
you.
And some garlic
baguettes.
bread. Yeah, and some sourdough baguette garlic bread.
All right. So everybody out there, we love you and appreciate you hanging out with us.
Check out Brian's videos.
That's what I was just going to say. Go check out Weeds and Sardines on YouTube. It is super fun. Every single recipe is something that you will want to make.
Also, how about let's try something new? When you listen to the show, if you got to this very, very back of the episode and you happen to go on Weeds and Sardines and say, hey, I'm going to cook this, send us your dish. Send us a text. Post it on hashtag No Simple Road. Send us an email with it.
Tag us in the picture.
Yeah, anything. But let's see if we can get a few little recipes from Weeds and Sardines out there on the No Simple Road platform.
And
That'd be dope.
I'm gonna do I'm gonna do the cinnamon rolls this week sometime, and I'll tag him so that he can see that we did it, because those things looked, oh my God, obscenely awesome.
Delicious and amazing, and
everything is.
I love how he said that he gives us short because he does one in there. He's like, well, hey, Brian, I want to cook this. I want to cook these tonight. And it's like, you can do that if you want, but this is what they look like. He did it to show that they were, okay,
flat.
they're just cinnamon roll.
Yeah, they were
you
cool.
can eat them or anything, but this is what happens when they're in the fridge for 24 and they're like these big, make Cinnabon look like crap.
I'll show you the video when we're done.
Dang.
Everybody out there, take care of each other. We'll be back next week with more stuff and things. Remember,
Stuffs and things.
Hey, go to Manscaped and hook yourself up. NSR 20, you're getting 20% off. Go to Shop Tour Bus and hook yourself up with some Grateful Dead inspired merch. They're hooking you up. Put in the promo code No Simple Road. You get free shipping. Go to Electric Fish Lights, put in the promo code NSR. You get 10% off. And if you go to sunsetlakecbd.com and you put in the promo code NSR20, you're going to get 20% off your CBD purchase. So,
and if you come hang out at Define Premium Cannabis, I'll tend your bed and give you 10% off.
Dress like a wizard on a skateboard with a squirrel tail and a helicopter hat.
We got y'all covered.
Right. So we love you. We'll see you next week.
But it's a burden. Felony just been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a new born. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? No simple road. 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 My windshield is shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A=A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hey listeners, I want to tell you about the April-May 2023 issue of Relics magazine. Features a Dave Matthews Band cover story with additional articles and interviews with The National, Graham Nash, Wayne Shorter, ALO, Ivan Neville, our friend Eric Krasno and Stanton Moore, Marty Stewart, and much more. Check out the latest version of Relics and subscribe now at relics.com/DMB. Thanks, Relics.
Well, hey friends, my name is Zach Lupitin. You may know me from the band Dust Bowl Revival, but I also host a music discovery podcast called The Show on the Road. For the last 5 seasons, I've been able to dive deep and have intimate chats with folks like the Lumineers, Ani DeFranco, Wolfpack, Keb Mo, Lake Street Dive, Bela Fleck, and more. So guess what? After 150 conversations with some of my favorite songwriters from around the world, we are bringing brand new episodes to the Osiris Network. New interviews and intimate acoustic performances will be coming at you this summer. And which episodes are coming next, you ask?
I am Zach Goody, the lead singer for the band Smash Mouth.
Our band is called Milky Chance. We are based in Berlin.
My name is David Shaw. I sing and write songs with my band, The Revivalists.
Trust me, these conversations go some wild places. So subscribe to The Show on the Road on Osiris, and we'll see you soon.